told him that he had only had.
All of that, you bought yours.
Yeah. Did you have? I saw
No, I'd still be buying it. Just at the same time. Oh, okay. Rose between two thorns, is that what you said?
You got like me behind him right now. So. That guy with the solid kid, fast watch and all that stuff.
Well, hello, everybody.
Call to order. Roll call, we're all here. We can raise the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. I have a couple things we need to remove and one we need to add. The first removal, if it's in agreement, under new business, B, the fiscal year 24 audit presentation and approval. They were not available this week. They're not able to do that, so we need to remove that. We need to remove the FPS minutes, which are under 5B. Those will be approved now at the FPS meeting. We just got a legal consult on that. And then number 2, I would ask that we add a formal complaint. It's attached to our minutes. Received 5/9/25, board to determine the next steps to address that public complaint that was made.
I'll make a motion that we add that to the agenda.
We have a motion and a support. Is there any questions?
Is it added under 8?
We can add it
New business, yep.
under new business. Make that, you want to make that B or C? Okay. Hearing no discussion, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. approval of the minutes, and it will just be for the meeting held May 8th. Is there any? I just have one change, and it's under the emergency manager update. The update was, it says to county to contract out with an incident management.
What page are you on?
Number 2, I'm sorry, under the emergency manager update.
Okay.
We don't actually, we request that IMT. We're not actually contracting, we request. That was not a charge to us. That was through the Michigan State Police Homeland Security.
So which, is there like a certain sentence? What?
Yeah,
which one of
add instead of county to contract,
Okay,
that we would be in approval of the county to request. It's probably a better way to say that, and IMT.
I would request an
Yes.
incident man, okay.
Would, yep.
That's all you have.
Yes.
And I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as amended.
A second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Claims and accounts.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims and accounts for the period May 9th, 2025 through May 22nd, 2025. Claims in the amount of $89,169.20. EFTs in the amount of $948,737.64. Desk checks in the amount of $664,271.21. For a grand total of $1,702,178.05.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Peltier,
Yes.
Hardee's,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
DeBrent,
Yes.
Hamlin. Yes.
Limited public comment, agenda items only. Public comment,
I'd like to speak to the added agenda item.
yes.
Good morning, and first let me say thank you for your time. I've attended the county board meetings for over
Can I
4
have your
years
name,
now.
please?
Oh, Sherry Egan. And I continue to be amazed by the disrespect shown by certain elected officials to the board members who are also elected officials. Usually with 1 or 2 board members siding with the other elected officials, ensuring there's a disharmony among the board themselves. I'm still baffled by the us against them mentality played out at every single meeting. The board members each work for and represent their districts in the best interest of the county as a whole, setting policy and keeping the budget in check. Others are elected to run their offices within the policy and budgetary limits set by these 5 people representing their district. Not to micromanage the board and demand a seat at the table for every decision they don't like. I encourage you to do your best in the office you were elected to. Stay in your lane and operate your offices within the budget these 5 representatives set. You don't want to be micromanaged in your job. Don't micromanage them in theirs. Some of you are so delusional that you find it disrespectful that our current chairperson does not sit back and allow you to disrespect her. This is a board meeting to conduct county business, and I've seen it hijacked again and again to further an elected official's business or agenda. You interrupt the board's business, then say the chairman is disrespectful to you when she does not allow it. Personally, I commend her for taking charge and conducting the board meeting as it should be. I encourage you to keep personnel matters appropriate and professional, to find common ground and see if these meetings can be more productive and less confrontation. Thanks.
Public comment?
Here.
Morning. Jim Chapman, otherwise known as H. James. Former county commissioner, used to sit in that chair, and I was the immediate predecessor to Don Evans. I want to say, for those of you behind that desk, I realize you're not here because you're buying condo in Las Vegas with how much you get paid for doing your job, because you don't get paid what you deserve. And I realize you're here because you want to be here. And I have respect for that. I just want to talk a little bit about, and the previous speaker talked about animosity between department heads and board. And it's been going on for a long time. And I won't blame one side or the other. It just seems that there's not a spirit of cooperation. What I'm here today to talk about is this discussion over, and let me clarify, I'm a retired automotive engineer, spent 30 years working for General Motors, and I did a lot of development, time study, and this idea of sending a car to Alpena to have work done on it. And we have one of the best mechanics that I've ever worked with. And I worked for Reliability Engineering at Pontiac Motor, and I worked with a lot of good mechanics. What you have here is an exceptional mechanic. And I know Bernie's a friend of mine, and I'll be totally honest, he's worked on my cars for over 20 years. And I put my life, my wife's life in his hands. And all the deputies put their lives in Bernie's hands. Because these vehicles are specialized. They have special wiring, special equipment. You can't just take it to anybody and have them work on a police car, on a sheriff's car. So I'm just here to say, please, this idea, and I was a time study, I was an efficiency expert, time study engineer. I can do a time study for you on what it costs you to send a car to Alpena and have somebody over there work on it. At what's the going rate for a dealership now? $175 an hour? I don't think you're paying Mr. Nielsen $175 an hour. So if you want me to help you with a time study and do a comparative analysis of cost versus Alpena, I'll be glad to do that. So that's all I have to say.
Public comment?
Madam Chairperson, I have a public comment, but it's not related to an agenda item.
Oh, that's at the end of the meeting?
Okay, thank you.
Doable? Thank you. Public comment? Hearing none. We have NEMSCA presenting an annual report. Amanda Ferguson.
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Amanda Bergeron and I work for NEMSCA. I am the Community Resource and Bridges of Self-Sufficiency Program Manager. So what we're going to be going over today is our annual report. If there's anyone in this room that would like a copy, I do have some extra copies on hand. I will be happy to leave them here along with my business cards if you have any questions that I cannot answer today, or if you want to follow up with me for any reason. So the information shared will be going off of 2024 data, recently published our annual report. So as some of you may know, NEMSCA has been a trusted agency in Northeast Michigan, including Montmorency County, going on 57 years this August. We have over 30 different programs serving this area, including Montmorency County, ranging from our early childhood programs all the way up through aging. So our core county area is 11 counties. Look at the mitten, this eastern part of the state. Our early childhood programs stem into a total of 22 counties going into the thumb. So I want to go over on page 4, a year in review. We're going to talk about some figures here. So as you can see on the charts here, our highest served population is ages 75 years and older. So that's going to come from our aging division, where we have a wide variety of programs, including care management, in-home services, my choice waiver, partnerships with our Commission on Aging for home delivered meals and things to that nature. We also have a large bucket served through ages 65 to 74, and then we have another large bucket in our early childhood areas. Our highest served county is Alpena County. Montmorency, the number of individuals served in 2024 was 726. And I want to point out, just because I also have done a lot of direct service work, individuals in Montmorency County, you guys are resilient and you don't like asking for help. I will say that, like, I have had to convince people, like, no, but you qualify for this assistance. We want to help you. So please know that we have programs that are available. We want to help you. If you're eligible, please don't feel like you have to go at this alone, because we want to strengthen our communities and strengthen you all as individuals and families. But out of all of our counties, I will definitely say you all are probably our most resilient. Like, I got this, I'm gonna do this on my own. So, but you don't have to, we're here to help. So on page number 6, you'll see our leadership team. Lisa Bolin, she is our executive director, pushing things forward. A team of us just got back from Lansing. Some of them are still there advocating for our programs. Because as I'll mention in a couple pages, the majority of our funding is federal and state. So this is a tumultuous time for us. So we are advocating for our programs to continue serving. On page 7, I just want to touch on who makes up our board and give a special shout out to Lloyd, who is a dedicated board member at NEMSCA. We greatly appreciate his service. And we also have private and consumer sector. So if you are ever interested in becoming a board member at NEMSCA, we would love to have you. On page 8 and 9, we'll talk about our annual revenue and expenditures. For FY24, we had a total funding of $67,891,000 supporting our programs across Northeast Michigan. As you can see here, 95% of our funding comes from federal and state contracts, with 5 being local or in-kind dollars. We do not receive a lot of big donor contributions at our agency. The majority comes from grants. Of that, $41 million is driving essential programs like our childhood education, our senior services, and housing support, such as supporting those who are facing eviction or are currently homeless. We also have the state funding pot that I briefly mentioned. That's about 23 million of those dollars, supporting programs such as weatherization, and then in-kind contributions, which when we have in-kind contributions, we are able to do a variety of things. If we have a family or individual call and they may be over income, there's a potential that we can still help them. Because with federal and state dollars, we are often restricted by our grants to meet certain eligibility criteria. So we're not always able to help everyone. So with some other pots of money, it opens up our access to serve everyone. Our annual expenditures, our largest is early childhood services. And then next up will be our community-based care. We also have community development, volunteer programs, and aging. 4% is what runs our agency. That's what goes in to support our staff, indirect costs for our financial team, our accounting team, our IT team, our HR team, the operations. So all of the rest, 96%, is what goes back into the community servicing all of our programs. Program impact on page 10. So in 2024, we assisted a total of 17,830 individuals across our region. We assisted over 2,600 children enrolling in early childhood services, almost 7,000 students in our school success program, over 8,100 individuals through our aging services, 742 individuals were assisted with water programs. So that could be help with their water bills or in-home plumbing repair. We assisted roughly around 1,200 individuals with housing and homeless prevention services, and 93 people with safe vehicle repair. So I don't know if any of you remember this, but about a year ago, we were able to use a pot of money through a grant to do vehicle repair, and this thing went like wildfire. It was the first thing that ever went viral at our agency. And we had to close it within 24 hours because we had so many people requesting assistance. So not surprising, because on our last community needs assessment, transportation is one of our biggest needs in Northeast Michigan. So this data really helps us moving forward so we can be strategic about applying for grants and hopefully get more funding, because we know that the need is there. People need support with vehicle repair. So we currently assist, or in 2024, we assisted 110 individuals with emergency motel stays. So that's individuals who were in a car, potentially needing to go to a shelter, but a shelter is full, homeless in some situation where we put them in an emergency hotel. 278 children were supplied with diapers through diaper bank partnerships. We weatherize 101 homes. If you're not familiar with our weatherization program, it's a fantastic program that is in your county where we can have our energy auditors come out and do an energy audit, and they check for different types of ventilation gaps in your windows, your doors, check your appliances, and then if work is deemed necessary or appliance need to be replaced, they work with local contractors to complete that work. And that is available to homeowners and renters. We had 992 students formally supported through our school success program, 302 volunteers giving back through our volunteer programs, 20 participants empowered through our pivot program, and our Bridges of Self-Sufficiency program, 38 participants were assisted and are on their path to independence and out of generational poverty. On page 11, there's a couple program impact stories. On the top is our school success program. We had a kiddo who was struggling with attendance and often behavioral issues while in school, elementary student. And our school success liaison worked diligently with this kiddo, and she little acts of kindness throughout his day, like a fresh outfit, a snack, really building that trust. And by the end of his school year, he was just thriving. He was attending school, his behavioral issues were gone. It was just a really cool thing to see. And then on page 11, it shares a story of someone from our Bridges of Self-Sufficiency program. She came into our program as a single mom living with her parents, working under the table at a local store. And with her intensive case management support through her mentor, she was able to obtain an apprenticeship through Coletta. She was able to get stable transportation. Her kids are thriving. She now lives with her partner. They got a home, bought a home together. They're doing fantastic. She now saves her money. She has control of her finances, has a great plan for her future. They're planning to get married, and she's well on her way of self-sufficiency. And that's what we love to see in that program. Page 12 is going to talk about initiatives. We have been hammering hard new initiatives. One thing, if you have been on our website lately, you will see that we have a website chat feature. It's down on the lower right-hand corner. Our website can somewhat be overwhelming because of all of the pages and programs. So oftentimes people want to talk to a real person and maybe they don't want to pick up the phone or they can't, they have something quick. You can chat with a live NEMSCA staff member on our website during our business hours. So that's a new initiative. It's not mentioned here, but I did want to mention it to the room. We also had our childcare innovative project, which is working with multiple entities, including a Quad County area developed by ASCO and NEMSCA, to understand the childcare needs within our region. The other thing I want to mention is PACE Northeast. So this is our big program that's going to be assisting vital healthcare services, and it's going to be for social services, older adults, and bridging critical care gaps. Our location for PACE is in Alpena, and it will be accessible to all Montmorency residents that qualify for PACE, and it's set to open very soon. I don't have the exact open date, but we're getting very close. Our water assistance program, that was something new for 2024, so we can assist with plumbing, in-home plumbing repair, and also with water bills, so past due water bills. Our BOSS program received an expansion. It started in 2022 as a pilot to help end generational poverty and strengthen our communities and families. We were awarded a large grant through LEO, the Poverty Task Force of the state of Michigan. And originally we were only in Alpena, Alcona, and Iosco. We have since expanded to 13 counties, including Montmorency. For our CSBG dollars, this was the pot of money that I touched on for auto repair. That is what allowed us to assist those families with auto repair. We also are using this funding to help with past due property taxes. which we still have funding for. So if you know of anyone who is in need of past due property taxes, we have funding to assist with that. We also were helping families achieve stability through a variety of other essential resources that could have been, for instance, other transportation issues like helping with bus transportation or gas cards to ensure that kiddos are still getting to school. And then on the back is just our contact information and another quote here talking about our My Choice Waiver Program. I'll just read this really quick. So, a place to call home. When Sarah faced eviction from her assisted living facility after 7 years due to a depleted savings, NEMSCA's My Choice Waiver stepped in to cover her care costs. This ensured Sarah could stay in the place she called home, bringing relief to her and her family. Programs like the My Choice Waiver are vital for helping community members thrive with stability, dignity, and essential support when it's needed most. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions for me.
So you said when you get on the website,
Yeah.
it has the live chat.
Yep,
option
it's on the
right there.
lower right-hand corner. And that's available through our business hours, which are currently Monday through Friday, except for holidays, 8:30 to 4:30. And that you will be connected with a live NEMSCA staff member.
Thank you. Is there any other questions?
As a member of this board, this is one of the finest organizations that I sit on. There is a very powerful executive director, and every single individual that is in her leadership are just super people, super. All of the subordinates that work in each department, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to go to these boards and hear their reports every month, listen to the results, and as a result of that, I'm able to come back here and give a very good committee report back. I would like to say that it was reported wrong by Montmorency Journal that it was a senior adult. PACE was a senior adult. It's not. It is a senior adult care center, not just an adult care center.
Correct.
Yeah. I wish Jeff would have been able to come here because he's the guy that put this all
Yeah.
together, from grants to get the building, the renovation to the building. He's done interviews and he's already got staff lined up. Transportation, everything.
Hair services, you can get
Yes.
your hair done, you can exercise. I mean, the facility is going to be absolutely
Yes.
fantastic.
And his doors are open for anybody that would like a tour.
Yep.
If you want to go down there and you want to see this in person, he will be happy to take you through and show you. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So
So it's located by our headquarters. Do you know where the Big Lots is in Alpena? In that,
That
little,
down 23.
yep, right off 23,
Mhm.
in the plaza where Big Lots is.
Amanda, I thank you so much. for your
Yeah, thank
report.
you. Anybody interested in these? Because I can leave them here on the back.
I'd like one.
Please.
Yeah.
And then just one other thing for clarification,
Yeah.
they have, is your last name not Ferguson?
It's not.
It's Bergeron,
Can you spell
Bergeron.
Thank you.
And I will leave a few of these back here along with my business cards. Thank you for the opportunity, and if you need me, please reach out.
Thank you. Veterans Office concern, Homeland VFW.
Morning, my name is Doug Hagedorn. I am the Veteran Service Officer for Montmorency County. I understand there was some current concerns raised at the last board meeting. Just would like to address that immediately, if that's okay. I have talked to the regional office, BFW, I've talked to DSP, Gary Easterling out of the American Legion. There has never been a complaint filed. So I don't know where he got his information from. The gentleman that was here is the post-service office for the Hillman VFW, and his actual job is to support our office and come in with complaints or briefs, which he has never done. I didn't even know he was the PSO. So I went out there and talked to the VFW in Helmet. So we have some colorful characters in the community. I'm sure you guys have met a few of them. Got no issues with Mr. Brown, who was here. He was the gentleman that was here and made all these great accusations. There was one complaint I had from the commander. He's somebody who we're currently helping with, but he was concerned because we hadn't followed up with him. And granted, we hadn't, mostly just because if you're a veteran and an, older gentleman, kind of assume if you have a problem, you're going to come to us. One of the problems with the office we have is there's approximately 120 hours of training we have to go through. I don't know how many other departments in the county have to go through that rigorous of a training cycle to become a VSO, maybe the sheriff's office. And then we have a continued accreditation we have to follow up with continuously. If the VFW was concerned about the way we're conducting business, they would pull our accreditation, no questions asked. And they have never done that or confronted us on anything. I can say that with utmost confidence. Do you have any questions? Okay. So yeah, really, honestly, we're staffed from 4:30 or 8:30 to 4:30 every day. We're gone from 12 to 1 for lunch. Most lunches I'll stay through. I am part-time, and my administrative assistant, who is also accredited, is there full-time. So there's always somebody there. We never go 24 hours. I'll respond to a phone call or an email. And I think that can be verified very easily. The biggest thing I took over when I came to the office was our spending was out of control. I think we're spending $4,000 a year in postage. And I've taken that down to, I think we might hit $50 a year now. We had veterans who were coming in and we're refilling their propane tanks every 6 months. It's an emergency program. It's supposed to be maybe every 2 years we can do that for an individual veteran. I've had a young lady, I won't bring her name up here, but she's worked with somebody on the commission before in their district, and she's constantly threatening to sue everybody. All she needs to do is get updated assessments or estimates for what she's trying to get done, and she refuses to do it. So I can't write a grant without current estimates. It's impossible. Every grant that's been submitted to my office has went through to the appropriate authorities. And I think we've had 2 that weren't approved just because they were over resourced as far as the money they have in their bank accounts. They're just not eligible for the grants. They can fix it on their own, so the grants won't cover it. Is there anything I'm missing?
That was a good report.
Yeah, so please, if you really have a severe concern, we can sit down in my office and we can call the regional office and talk to them directly. I got no problems with that.
I would like to add that I know Mr. Brown personally, and I worked with him and Angie to try to settle the problems that he kept bringing up. One was with the widow and the other one was with the commander of that post.
Yep.
Both were resolved in like an hour.
Right.
Working with Angie. So I think the difficulty was in some of the federal and military procedures and the terminology that we all know federal government and the military uses that civilians don't seem to understand.
Right.
So I think Angie, once she learned of that problem, the process changed a bit. And as I understand it, and I just asked both of these people last Friday, because I was surprised to see this on our agenda. I said, is everything okay? They said, yeah, everything worked out just fine.
Yeah, all we gotta do is call Angie, send me an email, we'll resolve it within an hour, if not sooner.
Yeah.
Very easy to do 90% of the time. I think the biggest confusion for the Veteran Service Office is in the past it had always represented itself as an entity of the Veterans Affairs, which it is not. We are an entity of Montmorency County.
Yep.
We don't even have access to the Veteran Benefit Management System yet, so that's a big problem with our follow-up. The 120 hours of accreditation it gets to get to that point, it takes about a year to get, a year and a half even to get your, it's called a PIV card, which you can access the VBMS with. Me and Angie have both been through the fingerprint process. We've been through every piece of it. We're just waiting for them to come tell us to pick up our cards. And that was, I've been waiting since February. So I open to the public. Does anybody have any concerns at all? Like I said, please come see me. We can resolve it very, very easily. I think Mr. Brown had been in front of the board and commission since 2017. I know of 3 different incidences where he's come and said the same thing. And I don't think there's ever been anything that was found to be valid in his complaint. But I'm here to resolve whatever we can. So no fear, you know, we're completely transparent. Every penny we spend is through the comptroller office or through accounting in the county. We don't spend $800 a month for a veteran to go to a doctor's appointment that's 20 minutes from his house anymore. There's just so many things we've had to clean up. And they weren't doing anything wrong. They were just going above and beyond what our actual capabilities are. So it had to be reined in dramatically. We just don't have transportation money to, the VA is supposed to provide that, and they really don't for Northern Michigan. They just can't staff it. So. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Do you have any interaction with the Veterans Court?
Yes. Yeah, we're there every Wednesday. Last couple Wednesdays I've been in Saginaw for health concerns of my own. So I haven't been able to be there, but we are there. We've been there every month, twice a month. Yes, sir. Work with Mr. Paul very directly on that. So, yeah. All right. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, give me a call.
Under new business C was what we added, and that was to address the verbal misconduct by Commissioner LaRose at the 5/8/25 public meeting. We were given directives that the board needs to determine next steps to address per council. We can leave the formal complaint unresolved. We can investigate internally, or we can refer for the legal to review and to come up with his determination. What is the board's pleasure?
I think we should have the attorney look into it. That'll take us out of it. Motion to have the third one.
Are you making the motion?
Yes.
Okay, do we have support?
I'll support.
We have a motion and support discussion.
What is your motion? To do what? The third one of, what is it?
To refer the formal complaint of 5/9/25 that was received from Sherry Eggett. It should be in your packet. And Michelle, how did you want that to read? It wasn't my motion.
You're referring the formal complaint that was filed to what? Do what? To the attorney?
Yes,
Yeah,
for the legal review and investigation.
Yeah, for legal review and investigate, just like she wants.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? No. Motion passes. Old business, McCullough, board appointment approval of John Edwards.
So on May 15th, they had a meeting to do their bylaws. And they did change those bylaws, but we haven't gotten a final copy from them. So I would suggest we just approve this because I did get the meeting minutes from Bev. I sat with her after the board meeting. She came into my office and she brought in all the paperwork and all the minutes from all of her board members that were ever approved by their board. And then, so in December
of 2024 is when Don Edwards was approved to be on the board for McCoa. And so they asked us in January to approve that, and we never did, because then we went to the attorney and everything. So this was started back in December. So we just need to approve them to allow this, even though after we get finalized bylaws, we won't have to, but I figure it's already on our agenda and we don't actually have the final copy of the bylaws, we probably should just approve it.
Well, what were the bylaws? What was the change in the bylaws? Because at the last meeting, there were kind of two questions. So Mr. Edwards was being recommended for the regional at-large board member position, and was that position in the bylaws? And then what were the vacancies? So I don't know what the change.
The minutes they gave us was there was possible resignation of Tom Cox in the near future, and they nominated Don Edwards to the board, motion by Boucher, second by Cox, motion carried 4-0. So he was replacing Tom Cox as a regent, and that was in December. The bylaw changes, I don't know the specifics that they've changed yet. Like I said, I haven't gotten a finalized copy. I do know Bev said they were intending to remove the approval process of Montmorency County, and then they were restructuring. So there was no more confusion. They were gonna have a representative from each center. They were gonna have an at-large from each community, and then a representative at large of the full county. So they have a 7-person board is what their intentions were. So I do believe that he's being approved for the region at large position.
Which is not a current position. It's in their amended bylaws. It's not in the current bylaws. They have an at-large, a regional at-large. I guess that's where I'm confused on what position did Tom Cox have that Don Edwards that they approved him to replace. Like, I think the position, the at-large position, as far as any information I have, doesn't exist. So I just get confused by what they're pointing him to, or what the vacancies are. I think those were the questions from the last meeting that we did as a board, was what positions exist on the board and which ones are vacant, and which one are they proposing to appoint Don Edwards to?
Yeah, the letter just states they're having him as a trustee board member.
And if he's replacing Mr. Cox, was he from Atlanta? I don't know if I know that. I don't know that answer.
Mr. Cox was from Lewiston.
Oh, this one's. Oh. That's why they wanted it to be the at-large.
Well, did I hear you right? Their new bylaws are removing the need to be approved by the board of commissioners.
Yep, on May 15th, they had a board meeting and they approved that.
So they did
Table it
approve that.
until they get their everything.
You don't have to do anything. I was just saying, technically, they haven't gotten finalized bylaws from them, so this is why you guys asked me to get the meeting minutes of when it was put in. So, I mean, if you don't do anything, I guess they can just take care of it on their own at the next meeting. Should be all set. But like I said, this came back from minutes from December. This has been going on since January.
You're saying the bylaws were approved, so.
On May 15th, they had a board meeting, yep.
What's the board's pleasure?
I'm sorry.
So what's the board's pleasure? We don't have a motion nor a second, so
Do we need one if their bylaws now
let's.
don't require us
Make a
to
motion to table it and
see the bylaws?
further notice from them or.
You could just make a motion to allow them to follow their own bylaws and no
We don't
longer.
have to do anything.
I would make a motion to do that, to let McCoa take care of their appointments from this point forward. We now know they're, yes, we now know they're a 501c3 and
I'll second that motion.
any discussion? All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no? Hearing none, motion passes. Our fleet update and changes. We had that car that we had asked that the board would be able to weigh in on. The sheriff last meeting said he had it done without waiting for that authority. So now we do have that car back in service. I understand it is in play, right?
Correct.
They're driving it. Okay. So the fleet update and changes are, we have, and the question has been, for over a year now or more, is that we have a at this point, we have 11 deputies and we have 13, 14, 15 cars specifically designated for just deputies at this point. That does not include the sheriff and the undersheriff. It does not include the seasonal vehicles. Those seasonal vehicles are used in the summer and then for a RV and light patrols. So the question is, as a board, because these are public assets and these are county assets, are we comfortable with 11 deputies and 15 vehicles?
We have, is it 3 vacancies currently?
We only have 11 active deputies.
Well, after the
Yeah.
3
Two, because we paused one.
Oh, that's right. That was good.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
do you want me to come up front or can I just speak to the board to the topic at the moment?
Well, let me see what they want to do. Does anybody,
Well,
just wait.
I would like to make a motion to put up for bid the 2017 Ford Interceptor that has over 221,000. 2015 Interceptor that has over 220,000. And the Crown Vic mechanics vehicle, to put it up for bid and post it immediately.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion in a second. Now we can have discussion. Sure.
Yeah, so again, this, to your point, Madam Chair, this is a conversation that's been going on for a lengthy amount of time. At this point in time, I guess what I would encourage once again is there was conversation about staying in lanes and letting offices do what's right for their office. And I would equate this to the exact same thing. These are assets that are bought and paid for already. They're done. Are they higher mileage vehicles? Yes, they are. We have no vehicles on order at this time. And truthfully, that's where this conversation needs to start, is the going forward. For the reasons that when you're talking about the mileage on the vehicles, we have to have that conversation on the purchasing of vehicles immediately. You have your certified mechanic here that can speak to it. Yes, we have 3 fleet vehicles. Yes, we have 3 openings. We're a car crash away, a recall away from needing vehicles to be utilized. There is zero. My question to the commissioners making the motion is, why are we getting rid of these vehicles?
We've been asking this for quite a while. It's costing us
What is it costing?
and we're
us?
not using it.
What is it costing us? And we do use them, but what is it costing us?
How can we use all those if we don't have that many deputies?
Because when there's vehicles that are broke down or getting serviced, other vehicles have to be utilized. I can speak to that firsthand. And this is where I'm asking you to, once again, trust your department heads. Over and over, we keep having the same, that's where I think our friction comes from, is a lack of trust for each other.
Obviously,
Yes. so
because of
when
the
I-
vehicle, the last vehicle.
And again, okay, and to your point, the last vehicle, it took us, what did we say, February, March, April, May, it took almost 4 months to fix.
Do
a
we want to
vehicle.
talk about the 2 leases that we waited for months to get
But
fixed because they
They
just
didn't,
sat
they didn't
there?
get fixed, they were getting set up. And
What's
let's
set
remember,
up?
Before the vehicle.
Well, I'm not gonna argue that. I put my motion in.
Well, it's,
I'm done.
ma'am, it's not, I'm not arguing, I'm actually, this is the part where we dialogue. And you talk about the cost to the county, it is in the budget, we talk about budget constraints. These vehicles were already in our budget to be insured. It is $531 a year to insure this vehicle, $436 for another vehicle, $489 for another vehicle. If that's our sticking point in this conversation, take $1,500 from my gas budget and we'll move on and talk about what's important, and that's getting new vehicles into the fleet. That's where the conversation needs to start. This is like you going into the prosecutor's office and saying, no, we're gonna take that chair and that computer and this because it's unnecessary, it's unneeded, it's too old. You wouldn't do that. This is an asset of my office that people entrust me to take care of, and we do a remarkable job with it. There is zero. I want to, and that, I guess that's what I'm legitimately asking is the why. The why are we removing an asset that is, again, costing us nothing? And if the issue is the insurance, take from my gas budget and we can move on to important conversations. But there is zero reason. I'm not going to give up a vehicle because I know from experience that it could be needed in a heartbeat. We get 2 vehicles coming in, then let's have this conversation legitimately. We just never get to that point where you're listening to the individuals that are actually using the resources, the officers that we always speak of. All we need to start bringing new vehicles online. That's why we have high mileage vehicles. We need to look at purchasing vehicles because the fleet program is not in the best interest of the taxpayers or the county.
Thank you.
So-
We're not talking about the lease. We're not talking about enterprise at this point, but
So that's.
I
again,
think too, I'm just, it's my turn to speak. I think to Michelle's point, we do have 2 brand new vehicles that just went online March and April of this year. 2 new vehicles.
Mhm.
They are the lease vehicles. They were in here in November. They were not put on for service. They were not, no one was, now we have 2 deputies that are now using those. Those were just put on. You have had 2 new vehicles this year. Those 2 vehicles started this year,
That's right.
2025.
That's
So
right.
you did have 2 new vehicles.
Well,
I think the point is that we have 15 cars. Even removing those 2 with the high mileage, you still have vehicles in reserve. You still have 2 additional seasonal vehicles that could be used in a pinch. Not all officers are even on duty at the same time. So if something really went down, like you had multiple crashes on one day, there could always be a sharing of vehicles. There could be other ways around that. So thank you, Chad.
No,
We've
but
heard-
Madam
we
Chair,
heard
no,
your point.
listen, ma'am, I am sorry. I am sorry.
You
This
don't
is
want
what I'm talking about. When I have not had, you came with Commissioner LaRose to, I don't know, that 10, 15 minutes you walked in the parking lot. Ms. Hamlin, you have not been, when you look at our fleet setup, this isn't selfishness, this is service. I have vehicles set up that are marine vehicles, that are ORV vehicles. This lady in front of me, we spent, I don't know, 24 hours looking for 2 ladies. And you want to know why those vehicles are hooked up to trailers? Because if we need those pieces of resources, they come immediately. They're not out on patrol somewhere else. So now I can't pull my boat. I can't pull an ORV.
Yeah, and they're sitting there. I did look at the service records that we had pulled through the fleet management. And usually when some of them are offline, it doesn't appear that there's, and this goes through, I think this is through January's report or February's. It doesn't look like Bernie ever takes more than 1 or 2 off at a time. So I'm assuming this is maybe on days off that these things are getting serviced, it looks like. So I think, he's managing that well.
I completely.
I don't see
agree.
where he's ever.
Why
had multiple
are you
things.
so, I'm
Because
not-
the
I'm not
assets
getting
are
rid
the
of
counties
vehicles.
and how many
They're
vehicles
assets of the
are
sheriff's
enough.
office.
I'm not gonna argue with you, Chad. It's our meeting. Thank you. We heard your point. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
again, if
Thank you.
it's an issue of money, I've already solved that. There's no reason to get rid of vehicles that are serviced.
Well, we had a, when was that we did the last bidding? January, February? They are of value. They are an asset. To run them to over 200,000 miles, they're less of an asset. If you get, that being said, they're the high mileage. I know that Commissioner Hamlin had a talk with the manager at Plowman's. Who felt that they
Over
anything over
200,000.
200,000 should not be on a road.
Then let's talk about.
That was his comment.
Yeah, sure. I would,
Mr. Whoever the plow.
I would
man
love,
was.
and that, literally 10 years ago, again, I am speaking from, excuse me.
I said, this is a disrespect they're talking
No,
about.
this is not disrespect. This is dialogue.
Yeah,
This is-
It's
okay.
their meeting,
So-
it's their discussion,
So-
not the audience.
We have questions. Yeah.
Commissioner Hamlin, in your motion to include the Crown Victoria, I was just trying to understand it, since that one has lower mileage than the mechanic. Like, I don't know how much that vehicle's used by the mechanic, but what, why that's lumped in for selling as well with the lower mileage.
I don't feel that we need one just specifically for the mechanic when,
We have a-
yeah, we can order the parts, they can have them delivered. There is a,
There's a fee
part
for
store
that.
just down the road. We can order it. There's some in Hillman. You can have parts within that day or within a couple days.
There's a fee for all of that that would more than equal the $500 a month or a year insurance. That it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess that one for not having that vehicle on hand to use versus the cost of either reimbursing mileage or delivery fees, I'd be curious to see the cost difference on keeping that one in particular.
Well, we still would have the civilian car.
You have to have a civilian car for the mechanic to get parts because he's not
Well, I guess,
allowed to legally drive a patrol vehicle.
Oh,
right, but we would
Taurus.
still have the civilian car.
Yeah.
We would still have that. We're thinking, I know, thinking about getting, that might be something, that civilian car could be used for the emergency manager. We could do it for training.
Dispatchers.
For what?
Yeah,
For training purposes?
yeah.
Yeah, that car could be utilized for a lot of things.
I don't think a decommissioned patrol car is worth or useful for training purposes because it's been decommissioned, everything is taken off of it that makes it a patrol car.
Yeah, well, these are the ones we already still currently have as civilian. Those aren't the ones we're talking about.
And I might say one more thing back to Chad's point, the sheriff, that all 15 of those cars are not all sent to be patrol cars. You have 11 deputies and you sell 3 of them and then he's short on police cars if they have accidents where they're out for 4 months or maintenance, or I would say leave it up to him for what his needs are because it's his department. And I'm sure he has a plan to phase out patrol cars as he gets replacements for them. And be open discussion on possibly even more than what he's being replaced with new patrol cars. I mean, nothing's carved in stone. He's a reasonable person. I'm sure he's willing to discuss it.
Well, last year we did. The reason we did the 2 least was because it was with the understanding 2 were going to be phased out. Those never were phased out. In November, we asked that those 2 be removed. They never have been removed. You can look in minutes and verify that what I'm saying is true.
In the last meeting
And yet
also.
they're still here. We had the officer that hit the deer. Well, let's take it back. Last year, we had an officer that it was actually totaled, I believe, because there was an accident and he hit a tree that was totaled out. Everybody still had their car. We had the deer car accident this winter. Again, the vehicle was taken off the road. And like you said, it was off for 4 months and yet the man still had a car to drive. The deputy still had a car to drive. Nobody was walking, nobody was borrowing. They still had vehicles to drive. There is enough vehicles to drive. If we remove those 2 that are the high mileage vehicles, Chad, when we were with Michelle, I asked you then, and then I asked you probably about 3 weeks ago, when that comes back, if we're going to remove that, and you did give me a VIN number. I'm sorry, I don't have that written down in front of me, that yes, you were looking at those to remove. So I guess I'm not sure if it's because you want to be the one that says I want them to remove, if this is just the power struggle that we're in, or if we can just say for a fact, remove the ones with 200,000 miles. We have a man from the Plowman's, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I didn't talk to him, but Commissioner Hamlin had mentioned that he said those, you don't put something, you have a high mile chase or something like that, and you've got a vehicle with over 200,000 miles, you're putting them at risk because it's just.
And he's an expert on police cars?
Well, he fixes them for them. But imagine he is.
He's the body guy.
That's where the sheriff's department
Well,
wanted
that's
them
where
to
they
go.
chose
They
to
chose
take
to
them.
take them there.
Yep, yep, Mr. And it probably was Steve,
Yeah.
and Steve's a fantastic
There you
man.
go.
I agree that if we're talking about best practices, it's 100% statement. Do we want squad cars with 200,000 miles? No, we don't. But to get to that point, there has to be that back and forth of having the vehicle purchases match the usage so that you're able to roll them over. You're talking about, an EM obtaining a vehicle, fantastic. If we were in a position where we had fleet vehicles and we could repair them early, ROD, or not, I'm sorry, equalization. Equalization's previous vehicle that they used for Bernie, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, 5-10 years,
Yeah.
was one of our decommissioned vehicles. It was a fantastic program because then you're not paying for, you're not buying a vehicle specific to a need. You're rolling a vehicle over and you're using that resource through it's the longest life possible. That would be the perfect situation. That's what we should be working towards. We need to be talking about picking up vehicles. I'm not getting rid of a vehicle because I can't. You have the mechanic here. Do we want to get rid of them? No, we don't. Not until we have vehicles coming in. We need to look at retiring that marine vehicle, but I can't until I have another vehicle come in. We have to get to the point where we are working together. There is zero. I'm not getting rid of the vehicle because I can't, because my job is contingency planning. And I don't get to control that, but I have to plan for it. Let's talk about bringing the resources in, then we can get rid of these 200,000 mile vehicles. I am 100% on board with you, but we have to bring them in. I can't get rid of a vehicle now. I can't. And again, if
You feel you can't remove them, looking at the roster, looking at our past experience for the last, 24 months, actually. Plus, you can.
who, I'm sorry, and this is where I experience the frustration. You say that off of your 21 years of law enforcement experience and working at the sheriff's office?
No, I'm just saying, we've had this discussion over and over again. You say you're gonna do it, it doesn't get
I
done.
feel he's not going to until he wants to. It doesn't matter what we say.
This isn't an us versus you, man. Michelle.
We've talked about this for how long?
Why do you want
And
me
you
to get
keep
rid of it?
saying no.
Why?
I've already explained, I'm done.
Because it's expensive?
Any other discussion?
No.
Any other
So
discussion?
who made this graphic where you already had decided which vehicle was gonna bid and sell? Wondering if you even consulted with the sheriff on how you came up with the vehicles you wanted to sell.
This has been under consideration for quite a while, these vehicles,
Yeah, a lot of things have been under consideration for a
That
long
we've
time.
talked
It's
about.
not the,
retiring these vehicles.
I want to know why the sheriff wasn't consulted on this chart or graph that was created and why, what vehicle should be sold.
That chart's been created for like 5 years or 3 years, and we update the mileage as it comes in, and it's all marked, and this is what we discussed when we started the fleet
For
program, and we said we were
3
gonna
years, been
purchase.
trying to get rid of these same cars.
When we started the fleet program, we had on here, we added the 2 leases, and it was decided by the board then that when we did that, we would get rid of 2 vehicles. That never happened. Those have now come online. And then there was a motion made again in November that they were gonna do that, plus sell and salvage any of the vehicles they had. We got rid of 1 at this point, but we had the 2 others at the very bottom of that list were motion in November 7th of 2024 to sell those, and that never happened. So this has been a conversation going on since we started the lease program. And the reason why those are marked is because that was what we talked about, is the high 200,000 mile vehicles, getting rid of them because of liability for having our deputies in those vehicles, and we replace them with 2 brand new ones. And then if we were going to continue with the lease program, we would continue to replace the high mileage vehicles, so our deputies are not riding in a over 200,000 mile vehicle.
And the board did lease 2 new vehicles.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
have
and what
2 brand
happens
new
when
ones
the
and
lease
that
is
are
up and
online.
you can't afford to replace them leased vehicles when the lease runs out?
That's a
Then you're down 2
budgetary,
cars.
that's a budgetary item that we look at every year. We have budgeted that money in. We know how much that's gonna be. We haven't discussed enterprise yet, basically because we just got these 2 new leased vehicles in. I'm not even sure that they've made it to an oil change yet. So it's kind of hard to evaluate a program that we haven't even gotten enough data on it. So it's kind of hard to do an enterprise thing when we just got the 2 new vehicles on the road.
So
One has 658 miles and one has 1,384 roughly when this was updated.
To Commissioner DeBrent's point, I feel like this discussion ties in with the plan on vehicles going forward, because whether we're continuing to lease or not lease and having backup vehicles and how that all plays together, a decision on getting rid of vehicles ties in with the decision on purchasing vehicles going forward, so.
Okay. So if 2 are removed, we still have 2 backup vehicles. Plus, in a pinch.
This week.
That's never happened, in the 2+ years I've been here, that they've had to resort to using any of the other two.
But if the
So-
vacancies are filled, then there's no backup.
Well,
And
Yeah.
if we
Ride a bicycle.
If
I
we
doubt it.
hire 2 officers, we hire 3 officers, 3 vehicles need to be occupied. I go back to the why. This, when you say it's a Commissioner Hamlin, like, I only want to do it on my time. No, I want to do it when it's the right time. And I just want you to believe that. I want nothing more than to do what's right. It took, not to try and like analogize it, but we talked about the importance of an emergency manager, and this is a completely different topic, but I think it equates. It took a natural disaster to say, oh, you know what? Maybe we do need to listen to the people that are in these positions. I equate this to the same thing. It was a great idea. It sounded like a good idea. It's a cost savings until it's not. Until a disaster happens, and then it's like, you know what? Now we're gonna put more money to ensure we have something here. You were being told that by individuals, emergency service people, and you came to a great realization, but it took a pain to get there, and I'm asking you, let's not go through the pain. I'm not trying to win anything. I want to get rid of 200,000-mile vehicles immediately. I need vehicles
Okay,
for
I'm
that.
ready then.
I beg your
Immediately.
pardon?
I'm ready then.
Okay, but I need the resources to replace them.
You have them.
don't, based on your what information, based on that piece of paper that
We've
somebody
been
else.
talking the last 20 minutes about it.
You've been.
You-
here
you
for-
already know the
you've been here
information.
for 5 months. That's disappointing because I
I'm
don't.
not gonna argue.
I'm not
I did my
arguing.
motion.
Yes, sir.
I've been here for 2.5 years,
Yes, you have.
and I asked you a few years ago, how many vehicles do you need to run the sheriff's department?
I probably said 17.
17.
That's probably, if I had to guess, that's probably.
2 years ago, you had 17.
Okay.
Now you've got fewer deputies and you still want 17 or more.
Well, you don't.
How many
base-
vehicles do you want?
Well,
How many
let's-
vehicles is it gonna take you to feel satisfied to run your sheriff's department?
A minimum of 3 fleet vehicles. Officers plus 3 fleet vehicles is what I'd like to see. That allows for contingencies, crashes, breaks, something happens. And
15,
usually your
so
fleet
that's
vehicles,
18.
usually your fleet vehicles are gonna be your higher mileage vehicles, so you're kind of rotating them out. And that's traditionally what we've done. So that would be my goal always. And again, you have the mechanic here. He can speak to his experiences as he's the one that's always constantly maintaining this. I'm not asking for something I don't need. I'm
so if
telling
you,
what I need.
if you want 3 more, we remove the 2 high mileage ones, then you still have 2 on that list. And you still have 2 seasonal that you could use in a pinch, so they would still be there. So technically you would still have 4 fleet,
You
cannot.
more.
You
more
can't use those 2. The marine vehicle for one is rotted out. It's no longer a patrol vehicle. And the truck is not a police vehicle. It says police on the side of it. It was bought as a standard vehicle.
It's not pursuit
So it's
rated.
not a pursuit rated vehicle.
So the marine vehicle's rotted.
Mhm.
Which one's that?
18, I believe is its number, 2013.
It has rocker panels that are extremely weak.
Cannot jack it up with the jack in the trunk.
Which one is that?
The 2013. The Ford Utility
The
Police
seasonal?
Interceptor,
Yep.
okay.
So this is, and I guess as we're talking about it, this is the urgency that I'm
So-
speaking to. We're more worried about getting rid of than adding to our fleet. That seems oxymoronic to me. The goal should be getting newer resources into this office. The goal should be, we need
What
2 new
is-
patrol vehicles.
What is our balance in our millage? Because we have a vehicle there. In the sheriff's millage,
The fund balance
yeah.
might be 30, I don't have it in front of me, it might be 30,
Yeah, I don't think it was,
36,000.
it wasn't
Oh.
significant. And that's,
Because I had thought we had, because I know we've done vehicle purchases through there before.
Right, and Madam Chair, you're right, that's, and that's a fantastic point, because that's where, historically, that's, as we've talked about for the last decade, every vehicle has come from the millage. Not a vehicle has come from general fund. And that's something, just food for thought, just remember that the millage that, the citizens pay for, that sheriff millage is the only thing that's purchased vehicles. I think I don't know how the lease is, I can't remember if that's coming out of millage, but nonetheless, every vehicle's come from the millage, not one has come from general fund. And I believe it's 10 years ago.
I do have a question though. So if that, one is rotted, the seasonal, and it's where it really shouldn't be drove, that should be put up for bid and sell also then. The 2013.
If it's rotted, that's not roadworthy at all.
Gotta have something to pull that boat.
You ain't gonna pull with a rotten truck.
Well, it's rotten in the front, not the back.
I'm just going by what you said, that it's rotten and
It
then,
is, it is.
well, then that should be put up for,
It might be able to be used for pulling a trailer, but it's not able to be used as a patrol car anymore for high speeds and pursuits, that type of thing.
So Commissioner Peltier, I feel like asked a really good question. How many vehicles are you, what do you want your fleet to look like? And I just feel like in the interest of collaboration and some of the public comments is working backwards from that. So this is what we have. What's the goal for the sheriff's department? And then maybe it's like a FPF discussion on working through how do we achieve that goal? And does that make sense? And how do we achieve that? And working towards that goal. That's what makes sense to me. It's kind of like a strategic planning for the vehicles. So this is the end target, because we're nitpicking like a couple of vehicles, but really, where do we really want to be and where do we want to sustain? And we have to work together to figure that out and to get there. And by having a conversation about one or two vehicles, we're not working towards that. So I feel like this is maybe starting at an FPS discussion on working towards that goal and then a plan on how to achieve it for the board to work through.
my thing is if you do that, then there has to be a timeline, because we're into what, 3 years already? 2 to 3 years and nothing's been done.
We can put a time, I mean, a timeline makes sense because you don't want it to drag on, but I would think over the course of a month or two, you'd be able to set the goals and then, try to figure out that path towards that. And then some of that's gonna depend, if you're looking at buying vehicles, and then the board has to look at enterprise versus purchasing, and that's a more in-depth discussion, but at least trying to lay out what the options are to reach what the sheriff's trying to achieve and working together towards that.
If we can come up with a hard and fast fleet number, it should be up to the sheriff in consultation with the mechanic to decide which vehicles we get rid of.
Yeah.
Not just randomly picking, because like the seasonal boat card has lower mileage, but it's rotted out, and there's not all cars are the same. Some can have high mileage and be in better shape than a car with half the miles.
But
More
this-
about mechanicals than just mileage.
So at this point, to recap, he's saying 3 more than deputies. We have 11 deputies at the moment,
Mhm.
and he wants 3 more. So that would still remove at least 1 vehicle.
We do have one hopefully getting hired. He is in back, just so you're aware.
That he's what?
Hopefully gonna be hired. He's in the background phases, so it could be 12, just, it's a fluctuating number. Again, there are those 3 open positions.
But I wouldn't assume you would be putting him in one of those 200,000-mile vehicles either. So we have a motion
And a second.
and a second. Do you want to repeat the motion, please, Cheryl?
Motion by Hamlin, seconded by Peltier to put up for bid 2017, approximately 221,000 miles, 2015 with over 220,000, and the crown vehicle that the mechanic used, put up for bid and post.
All Are you okay with your bid? Any modifications or are you good with the bids? Or your motion? Okay. We have a motion and a second, and we can do a roll call.
Hardee's,
Yes.
LaRose,
No,
Brent,
No,
Hamlin, yes. L2,
Yes.
Motion passes. The mechanic position, the mechanic.
I need a break. Please.
Okay, we can take a 10-minute break. We can come back at 10:20.
Where did you find it?
I know where.
Yeah, well.
I know. Morning, man.
But yeah. You know what, but one thing we did, it didn't, that was just gonna be the one.
I thought, to be honest with you,
But this one is not a police vehicle. They've been using it to go. No.
They still got, yeah, we already got it.
Yeah.
and I still think. Because there's outfitters or upfitters or upgraders, whatever they call themselves.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice to know what their package is. Or you buy it complete. But then you would have, you know, if you stay with.
I wonder if,
I have to do that one, yes. We have done it.
just, I don't know if it was the Vienna Auto Force. I'm not sure if it's still here.
Exactly, so.
About wanting to stay home. They were all. Right, he said he was gonna have that. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Exactly, and that's where this is.
The only gentleman I don't know is the one
Well, and I know I had, this is I could have sworn this one. Feeling that I pulled the wrong one, because I think I asked that because he's putting everything.
Yeah, I voted yes on the police.
And it shows just right, we have you there, you know, what the price is. Oh. Dealership prices. So I think at that point.
Yeah.
When you go through and you look at
He's
these
the one who
vehicles,
got
this
this
is all
from
one
her.
vehicle.
Yeah. For some reason.
Yeah. and you-
Somebody said that, you know.
And how many
I
people
know,
I know, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
We can then-
Don't blame me. Oh, the combination of him. Jeff.
Right, you can then number.
I did.
That's why we've been.
Track that. That's how much it costs.
Yeah, like through. You think you're just. Guess what?
Yes.
How is that?
These are the new ones. The downlit.
Well, when it blows, it's very cold.
I know.
Because I was getting cold.
Oh, I was too, and that's why, but Doug was standing there at the time and I couldn't do anything.
I did.
Glad I wasn't the only one that.
What am I gonna do?
Yes, yes, go down to my office.
The next time, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few. Yep. Probably close down to my office, like on the counter ledge there, the girls have had some staff there. If there's not any there, because they've been going kind of quick. Just ask, yeah, just ask for one.
Okay.
Absolutely. I got now and I gotta go, but I gotta eat. You're welcome. Okay. Okay.
I don't. Right.
You don't want me to do the time.
No, I'm just checking because this is not accurate.
This, yeah, I can't turn mine off. I learned about very
Well, because the secure lock.
What time I shut down. Well, I don't know, somewhere between minutes. Whatever time you put on there.
Maybe
I didn't put one on there.
That next.
I'm guessing, I don't know, 10 after.
We're back in session. The mechanic position, we were.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on, hold on.
Sorry. Okay, we're good? Yep. The mechanic position, it was asked to be on the agenda because the mechanic he is in an independent, the position currently is in an independent, as a independent department at this point. And the request was to put him back under the supervision of the sheriff versus an independent department. Am I correct with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the question on the table, is where do we leave that position as far as a position on our roster?
I think he should be under us, and so
Well,
Absolutely not.
they're all under us.
that's the thing. Yeah, so
I guess the question is that if everybody, and maybe I didn't,
I don't think I
do you have
have.
a roster? Because every year we set the roster of departments and the department heads and those kind
I
of
think we
things.
need to make a
If
motion
you would be,
first.
oh, yep, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion that mechanic be returned to the control of the sheriff department.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So the discussion is, does it stand as a standalone department? Or is it under the sheriff's department for the motion?
Made a standalone department. He never requested it, no one, no part of it. It was just one day Don Edwards came and told him you're your only boss now. You're the a department head. He never wanted it, never requested that, and right now he's tired of being micromanaged and controlled and pulled in multiple directions by the board, and the sheriff wants something done, he'd rather just be under control of one person, do his job and not have to deal with multiple bosses.
I think to that point, just the communication from Bernie on April 24th, I think it clearly there's just confusion because within a couple days time frame regarding the same issue, he was contacted by someone from the controller's office and two board members regarding the vehicle being repaired. So therein lies some confusion on who's providing direction to the mechanic, and it seems like it's dabbling into a micromanagement situation on, you know, like how is he doing things, when's he doing them? So to me, it makes sense to put him back under the purview of the sheriff.
Was there for many years with no issues.
Mr. Nielsen came to this board about a year ago and asked to be removed from the sheriff's department. I was sitting right next to Don Edwards when you asked him, while Chad Brown was on vacation, because you had a severe problem with the undersheriff. That's when we removed you. We gave you exactly what you wanted. We put you under the control of the controller.
I had no part of any of that.
You have no what?
No part of any of it. That
You
was
had no
Don
part of it?
Edwards and not me.
You came to
Oh, no.
Don Edwards right here.
Oh, no, Don Edwards came to my house on a Saturday and said, this is what we're gonna do and you're gonna like it. Whatever. I'm just telling you, this is the way it went. I did not want that. That's why I was at this meeting then. I didn't want it to go through, and I stated it at that time, but it didn't matter. I'm not the voice that said who, where, when, what, why. And right now, I'm just tired of getting micromanaged by, I'm supposed to be the professional, and you don't believe anything I say, so I can't say that I'm doing my job correctly if I can't believe my professionalism is out there. Because I don't work for Chad Brown, even though he'll be my boss. I don't work for Chad Brown. I work for the officers of this county. I want them to drive safe cars.
You work for everyone who has a vehicle in this county, not just the officers.
Okay, if that's the case, then why is county vehicles getting taken to the dealership for repairs instead of seeking my assistance before they ever got taken there?
Tire rotations and oil changes going out of the county, and he
Do nothing
Bernie
like
not qualified to do a tire rotation or oil change where you gotta take it somewhere else.
You're talking about that 5-month period it took you to put one of the new lease vehicles on the road?
Doesn't matter. If another vehicle comes in from any of the department, I schedule that in, setting a car up as secondary to cars that are currently on the road. Whether it's a police car or otherwise, doesn't matter. It's always been that way and it should continue to be that way. And when you say a delay of setting cars up, you didn't realize that I have no control over supply chain. None. People don't stock police car equipment anymore. You call, you order it, they build it. I get it when I get it. That's all I can do. I didn't receive parts till January on either of those two cars. So that's when the stuff started coming in, is in January. I can't control that. It's always been that way as well.
Anything, Michelle? I think I would, as far as I'm concerned, I think with just a quick question. So I don't know what vehicle went for tire rotation or something other. I'm assuming it was probably one of the leased vehicles. So what does that do? Does the lease vehicle generate, who are they talking to? When they're saying the time is up or the tire changed, are they talking to the people running the vehicle? That was originally the setup. They were gonna talk to like either the deputy or
They get a
Mechanic or-
notification, yeah,
they got a notification.
in the system notifies, and whoever's the driver of the vehicle gets that same notification as well.
Oh, okay. So they followed the notification they were given on there. Okay, so then that explains that. So as far as then the county position, and they could have scheduled it anywhere. My guess is, okay, so they could have done it either place.
Why would they pay to have it, or they could have it done basically by the county, by Bernie in the.
already paying to have it done.
Well, that's a separate discussion. So just my thought with the mechanic would be, that's kind of a fleet vehicle. We can discuss that when we start, when we get to that fleet vehicle, management. But Bernie just said it. He's not technically under the sheriff. He said, feels he's an independent practitioner. I feel he's an independent practitioner. The mechanic position is a position of the county. I have no problem him staying where he is. The incidents that took place in April basically was based off of the issue with the car that was being repaired. And things were happening that the board had actually asked not to have happened was happening. So that was where that
Question regarding that, and so it's still confusing to me then, because in this incident, the board and the controller's office were involved, and I guess going forward, like how are situations that are concerns of the board to be handled?
So the call that was made, that call that was made to Bernie from our office was after the board meeting, when you guys asked us directly to contact Bernie to let him know to send the car over. So you guys said that in the board meeting, and that's what we did.
Inspection.
Yeah.
Regarding the direct
Yeah.
card.
And there would have, that communication piece has to be there. If he's not here to hear that, we do have to have that set up. That can be something that you and Bernie set up, or however that would work. So, but that's.
So wouldn't that mean if you're for just leaving it the way it is, that you'd still have 5, 6, 7 bosses?
Every department has one boss.
Well, that's not the way I'm seeing it.
Well, you can see what you want. Every department has one. Nobody tells Chad how to run his department. He'll stand up and tell you.
Wait a minute.
Tell me how to run this department.
And you didn't have Michelle telling them, don't do that to the car, didn't have you telling them who gave you permission to put that up on the lift at the one meeting? You're micromanaging when you tell them who gave you permission to put that car up on the lift.
And that was because we had made a decision as the board.
Yep.
To have it be seen. And then he went ahead and did it anyway.
That was from the
That
very
was the
beginning when
question.
you said it needed to be inspected. It'd be nice to put it up on the lift. I think was one of you exact words, and he put it up on the lift and looked at it to look for frame damage. Found none.
Yeah, it was before we were sent it.
Long and short of it is you're micromanaging his department.
Well, if he's his own department, then he's his own department.
So that gives him the right to do as he sees fit and
Well, he already said he
ignore
had,
the micromanaging.
well, he already says he knows his priorities. And
You should be left alone to do his priorities.
okay. So can he do that under the sheriff or as his standalone position? That's the question.
Leave it the way it is.
Do we have any other comments?
Can I just ask Mr. Nielsen if he has anything else he wants to add?
Yeah, this whole deer crash car started with a bad estimate from the insurance company. That's all I can say. They replaced a whole bunch of parts that were not broken, cracked, scratched. It was just a bad estimate, and it just stonewalled from there. You can see by the cost of the actual repairs of the car that we got $10,000 in a car, that should have been repaired right away had the estimate been wrote correctly. It was just written bad by the insurance company. So from there, it spiraled out of control.
So you're saying that it got a bunch of parts put on it that didn't really need parts?
Oh, no.
Quoted.
Oh, no, they were quoted
Oh,
to put on that car,
okay.
and they were not needed. A lot of them, like the $600 fan radiator assembly. There was not a crack in that, no damage whatsoever. Why would we replace that? And there's a whole bunch of other parts, according to my letter that I sent you, on the back of that, it showed a lot of the stuff that was not necessary, and it all costs money. And by me doing some of that work, saved the county $3,500 of that repair cost, because we get discounts in parts, and my labor is not the same as a body shop.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah.
So
Thank you. Let's, any other questions? Can we restate the motion, please?
Motion by DeVrent, seconded by LaRose, that the mechanic be returned to the control of the sheriff's department.
All those in favor say yes.
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 All those opposed, no?
No.
I'd request a roll call because I
Roll call.
certainly didn't hear all, I mean,
Didn't catch that?
Roll call is fine.
thank you. We are starting out with LaRose this time.
Yes.
DeVrent,
Yes.
Hamlin,
No.
Peltier,
No.
Ardis.
No. Emergency manager hiring plans. Oh, this is part of, we had discussion on how we were gonna go about doing that. Can we read your controllers?
So I had put it, so after our after action review meeting, I was talking to the guys from the Oakland incident management team, and they just gave some options like that you could utilize. Sure. And so then I just kind of, after the conversations we had with the fire chiefs and the supervisors and EMS and everybody, we talked about including them in reviewing the resumes or on panels. We had, in our last meeting, we talked about like, how would we have a hiring panel? So these are just some things that just options that you can think about. We don't have to make a decision today, but this is just something to review. So we could do a couple different things. You could have all of our emergency services people review the resumes with the names redacted so that they can go through with a scoring rubric and basically off the resumes, kind of pick out their top candidates so that the board could then come back and then do an interview in a closed session and then come back to the open meeting to make a decision. Is ultimately would be the board's hire. But then you'd have the influence from all of those in the emergency services on those applicants, so you have a better understanding. They could also give you guys interview questions on that scoring rubric, so you could use them in the interview process. Some of the things that they talked to me about in the incident command team is that you could actually consult with another group, a hiring group that does professional emergency management hires. They would come in and actually review all your resumes and do the process. Obviously, that'd be at a cost, but you'd have somebody that's actually in that job consulting with them to do it, and then they'd bring those options back to you. Or you could select a specific panel that's going to sit there and go through all of the resumes and then choose the best candidates to interview. But then again, you still would need the full board to actually do the interviews.
And the full board would still, because of the open meeting acts, we would still need to be able to review all of those.
Yes, yep. But this is just a way to help you guys get input from the fire chiefs and everybody else that's in the EMS and everybody else involved, DNR, state police. You know, let them actually see the resumes that we receive for the area and kind of give you their best opinion on just the certifications of the individuals that applied. I think as of today, we have 16 or 17 resumes that have already been submitted, and we have the deadlines the 30th. So we have time to come up with this, whichever way you want to do. But we could actually create a rubric with specific questions to ask on it, and then we could send all those resumes over to everybody to review. Just some thoughts.
I had looked too online, and I have it available if anybody wants it, and it was basically manager interview questions and answers. So if anybody is interested in that, or I can give you the link to it, you can grab the link.
I'd be interested if you don't want to.
Yep. Probably be easier for me to give you a copy at this point. Probably, you're welcome, probably goes into coordination pretty much. It looked like the rubric that I saw here. They're probably all pretty much the same. So what So maybe we need to know like what it costs, but you know, when we look at those options, what it would cost to do the hiring, you know, to have a professional team review them versus us. Not saying I would go with that, but I'm just saying, let's just have those.
And I'm sure that would actually be a pretty hefty penny. I'm not saying that's a good option,
No,
because then you don't have really any oversight. But you also want to try to do it where you're removing that bias by the names being out, because you don't want, you know, somebody's picked to come over another, you want to actually be on the credentials.
When was the deadline? Was it
The
30th?
30th to
Okay.
send them in, yes.
Okay.
and our next meeting technically isn't until June 12th. We have 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3. Did we talk to anybody? Did we get any, like, between the fire chiefs, did we get people that were willing to say that they would sit on it when we asked? I mean, we were there. Do we have a list developed?
I don't have a list. No, I mean, they all said they would have no problem reviewing or being a part of the process, but I don't have a specific list of who actually wanted to sit on that yet, because I can ask.
Could we send that email out
Yeah.
to that group and the EMS people and sheriff's department? And I know that Donna was interested in that from 911. And
Road Commission too.
road commission,
Offering a representative
yes.
from Road Commission.
And who else?
Thunder Bay. Amy, from Thunder Bay. That'd be the emergency services too. For help.
Yeah, she might be interested. And then, of course, Lieutenant DeCastro and, oh, I know, MSP Anthony.
Mhm.
He's
Yep, he's
he
on
was
that list,
willing.
yeah.
Yeah. he said
Did
he
we
was
want to
willing.
check with each township, the supervisors?
Yep, they're in the group.
Okay.
Yeah, so just ask who's available and who's willing.
I appreciate you putting these options together. I do like the idea of trying to keep it objective.
It's a good idea about redacting all the names.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions? Is there anything else that we should look at or have gathered? So that we have a way, because we have to then look at, you know, scheduling them for interviews and responding, and because we want to respond quickly to the people that have responded.
Do we need to decide on a path forward now then?
I know,
Okay.
isn't this just for our information at this
It's just
point?
for information, but then now thinking you have the next meeting, not till the 12th,
Yeah,
the deadline, you're gonna be sitting with them for 12 days, basically. So
And get
at
that
least
group
responded.
to initiate that process of starting to review.
do you want to go with the option where they all review the resumes? I mean, because that I could do, once I have the deadline, then I would be able to redact all the resumes and send it out to that group that we already had created. And I'd add the,
The redaction include like age and gender, not just the name.
they're not on there, they're not on resumes.
You talking about the full board or just a couple?
No, we're
No,
talking
the
about sending them to.
Fire group,
option one.
EMS.
I think that would help if we did that. That would start the process a little bit quicker. They would know who applied and their qualifications.
Yeah, I don't know how we determine that scoring rubric of.
I can ask the Oakland IMT to help me.
Maybe they have something that they already use.
What are we looking to narrow it down to, just
Well, this would just
two or three
basically
to be
score them.
interviewed, or
It
there's some you can
depends on the
automatically
scoring.
say they're not qualified and remove them from
You would basically pick out the ones that don't meet the qualifications you're looking for and narrow it down. But you would have a scoring, an average score from all of your people. And then you need to take you guys would decide how many you want to actually physically interview.
I think
from
it
there.
would depend on the scores. If we have a lot of high scores versus
Yeah,
not that many high
say,
scores.
pick a number if you don't want to go through a dozen applications and interviews, to narrow it down to 3, 4, or 5, something like that. That would be the top scoring qualifiers to move on to the next level.
Well, if we have 16 or 17 now. So what are you thinking? Like, take the top 5, take top 6?
I don't think I need to go over 5. If you got 5 of the top scores to narrow it down to 5 and then we.
Well, you could do 2 rounds of interviewing. You can interview the top 5, and if those you don't think are gonna work out for you, then you go on to the next.
Narrow it down even more from 5 down to 2, top 2 or something.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Okay, so you guys are comfortable with me coming up with a rubric, asking Oakland IMT for help, and then emailing all the resumes out to that group, and I'll email to the board as well. Or do you not want me to email it to the board until after they've had a chance to review it?
We need to-
Other people review it and us afterward, I mean, get their opinion first,
Okay.
pointing us looking at it.
You're talking about just the setup of the scoring, not the actual scores. The setup of what that would look like.
Yeah, like sending out all the redacted resumes and a scoring rubric, and have them kind of do a review of all of them. And then I'd have all that information to give to you guys as a full board for the next meeting.
I actually would like to see all
I
of the
would like
resumes
to-
too.
I would like to see, and the scoring kind of gets the really spinning on the new level.
Okay.
Could we also have included in that what the actual the certifications are
Mhm.
for a fully? Because I noticed, when I was researching some of this, that there's, they list the list of classes that they have to make them a certified EM. And it'd be nice for us to have that list too. And there might be some people, that need 1 or 2 classes, but it was a good idea for us to know how much education this takes.
I'll get this work done.
Should we do it in motion?
So, just discussion. You're okay.
Anything else? That's a promising sign that we've got 16 or 17. That's a good. I think that we have people out there interested and qualified living my head. Had all of the discussion. Anybody else have anything to add? Let's go on to the controller.
All right, we extended the debris sites until June 1st. Those are staffed and good to go. The debris site at Buttles Road is still being chipped, and he's back this week hauling the rest of it away. And then it should be moving on to the other sites. We did the after action meeting on the 16th, and then they will provide us with that final report with all the commentary that was made during the meeting. It was a good.
Now, the
meeting.
debris sites, part of the problem with the debris sites are right now, they're on county property. And we have been asked by the road commission to have those completed by June 1, if everybody isn't aware of that, because they need to start crushing.
Yeah, Todd strictly, when we had a conversation, he said June 2nd was the last day he wanted them there because they needed to start crushing.
Are all of them? I thought one was a volunteer site. or something.
One's a volunteer site.
So that is their potential. We don't know that. We can see, I guess.
It would depend on if we could get, when we get the chipper there and because it's getting full.
Oh, okay, so then that's a good question as follow-up. So Buttles has been chipped.
It's finishing chipping. There was a lot, and there's still people delivering, so they're kind of staying there and still hauling away.
What is the trending rate at the moment? I mean, I'm sure
It's coming down. It's not as busy as it was. The tickets, when they first came in, you had disposal tickets like this thick at Buttles. Now it's, you're just smaller.
Well, we've been told that there've been people are discovering they can get in when we're not there. So they're coming in and unloading their trailers and stuff when people aren't there. So I don't know how many that we're actually missing. And now they're starting to get really nasty to our people that are working there. They're, saying, I don't have to give you, and they're like, hey, that guy is not in our county. And there's been a lot of fights at it. And it's, our one person has been very, very good about it. And she's just like, I'm done with this. She goes, I'm done with being yelled at every single day.
That's strictly the Buttles site. We haven't had any issues like that the other two. The one in Hillman, Greg says he hasn't had any problems and it's not super busy over that way. And the one here in Briley, not the same, but the problem is we've had a lot of rain, so it makes these places a little muddy, and then we have to can't let people go in there because then you get trucks stuck or things like that. So some of the things that we're dealing with.
But they're still like if somebody's dropping off and our people aren't there, what we had said to do was they were to take pictures of it so that we could estimate that's still being done. So
Yep.
we are still getting a ticket of some form. Okay.
Because the Bottles Road one has been doing about $250 a day on the weekend.
I know there was
Sure.
concern, there is concern in Lewiston with a lot of people starting to come up on the weekends and cleaning up their properties. And I've had a lot of questions about, is it gonna be extended? And I know we're kind of playing it by ear, but that was a concern there just because people haven't been here now that they're coming and they want to start cleaning up. And if that's not an option, then people don't know what to do.
We've been getting a lot of phone calls in the office pertaining to that also, that
Yeah.
what about us seasonal people? Why are you not staying open for us? And I said, well, we're telling you when it is, and they're like, no, that's not good enough.
Maybe the question is could talk to our chippers again and, just see if it is an option, like if we had to just move the site over to one that we can run. Hunt Road is a pit, so they'll be shutting that to grind, so it'd be only the Briley one here, which is centrally located.
Okay, the LOA for the inmate coordinator was signed by all parties and it's in the file. And then after I was working on payroll this last pay period, I noticed an issue with our contract and then steps. There's change in the language that the probationary period is 1 year and that there's an associated probationary rate. And then we have a step in the probationary step that the next one is at completion of probation. But after 1 year, that's going to be start of year 2. So it's basically the at completion probation rate and start of year 2 are the same timeline. So I sent that over to the PLC to review, and he says, yep, that is an issue. So he worked up an LOA for me to take to Matt. So I sent it to Matt. Matt agreed. He had some language just to make sure that we said that this wasn't precedent setting. I sent it to Chad to review. He was good too. Our next contract will obviously go into that a little deeper and see what changes need to be made. But for now, we would just eliminate that at completion probation rate. And so after their 1 year, they'll move to the start of year 2 rate. And so if everybody's good with that, and if the board is okay with me getting that approved, I can send that off for signatures.
So I could make a motion to eliminate the associated probationary rate.
You could probably make a motion to accept the LOA from.
Okay.
I'll second that.
What are we doing? Hold on a second.
Make a motion to accept
Second
the
April.
LOA. Is there a date to that? For reference?
Would be whatever.
The LOA is from who? The union?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a letter of agreement. The employer and the union collectively, the parties are parties to a collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, effective April 18, 2024 through December 31st, 2026, covering the sheriff's office, non-supervisory employees. And it actually would be non-supervisory and supervisory. Let's update that. Article 34.4 and 34.6 of the CBA cover wages for the employees listed in the CBA. The current pay schedule conflicts itself and offers wages for after completion of probation and the start of year 2 wages, which occur at the same time. Whereas the parties wish to address the matter and amend the wage scale and eliminate the at completion of probation wage. Now therefore, for good and valuable consideration, the sufficiency of which is fully acknowledged, the parties hereby agree as follows. And it has the new steps with just the crossed out of the at completion rate.
What
At completion of probation rate.
And what's the date on that?
There is no date. We would go into effect whatever date we
signed
sign it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it goes on to say, an employee whose probationary period is extended beyond 1 year shall remain in the probation rate of pay until they successfully complete probation. Once the employee successfully completes their probationary period, the employee shall then move to the start of year 2 pay rate and shall progress through the remaining pay raises on their respective date of hire anniversary. And then we put number 2, this agreement shall not act as precedent or be used to argue past practice by either the union or the employer. And number 3, this agreement is the full agreement of the parties on the subject matter grievances and supersedes and replaces any oral or written agreements to the contrary. This agreement cannot be modified except in a written agreement signed by the parties.
So if I make the motion to follow the letter of understanding regarding the probationary.
Wage change?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I had.
See?
Was there a second to the
Yeah.
motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You did Lloyd? You did a second?
Any further discussions? Anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Because my only question is it says that it will send it to the sheriff for final review. Is he, sheriff, okay with that?
Yeah, it got forwarded to me as well.
And I talked to him at finance as well. Follow up.
No other questions? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Courtroom technology.
I'll send that over there. So, there was a request about an issue with some of the things that got fried during the ice storm. I was able to get this paid for by Murma, so they have everything ordered. It's gonna get installed. The electrician's meeting with the probate office to go over a couple things they had questions on. And like I said, Murma's gonna cover the cost. We ended up getting it all for $1,610 instead of, I think it originally was just about $2,000. So we got a little bit of savings on it. Also, Murma did confirm that they're gonna take care of the battery backup at the 911 dispatch center, so that's taken care of, waiting on the final invoice when that had to get ordered, so we haven't received that yet. I did actually get an email from Donna last night and I answered it this morning. Since a lot of things were destroyed in the flood in the evidence room, we're sending that to Michigan Confidential to actually destroy it for us properly. And we're gonna send that bill as well to Murma and keep the claim open for a little while, just in case more things come up. I already talked about the emergency manager and I gave you guys my sheet on that. The BSNA cloud conversion is complete now for all modules. And the final trainings have happened. And then the Montmorency Garden Club is going to be starting that work in the flower beds in front of the building. We had it in our budget to do some updates to that, and they're actually going to be putting in new bushes and flowers, and they're going to be maintaining it for us. So we'll have some more color out front, and they're doing the one in front of the building and then out by the road that bed out there. So, and yeah, and the maintenance is free for us. They're just taking care of it for us. There's one thing on my report, or that I don't have on the report, that just kind of came up, but I just wanted to. At our MERS meeting we had for the education, it was brought up that there was individuals wanted to take advantage of the voluntary 457 plan that we had set up in 2019. And Leah had told them that they all had this plan available to them with $1,000 match to the county for whatever they contribute for the year. And when I was going through with Sonia and getting things set up and talking about it, I said, this was set up in 2019. Apparently the division exists for the voluntary 457. So all non-union employees can contribute to this, whatever they'd like to contribute. But the addendum actually states in there, and one line in there, that only if you were hired after 1/1/19 will the county match $1,000. So we had people that signed up for it. So technically the county would not, if they were hired before 2019, they don't match that $1,000. They only can contribute themselves to it. There's two ways this can be handled. You could create a new addendum that allows all non-union employees to do it, and you're going to give them the $1,000 match, or you stand by the January 1, 2019 date, and you only allow the match for those individuals. So I guess I'm asking the board what they would like me to do.
How many people contribute to it? How many people is it that affects?
So far there was 3 that would fall ahead of that date. That have already signed up, and then I have 3 pending that no contributions have been made at this point. That would be also before the 1/1/2019 date.
But it started with a 1/1/19 date.
Correct.
May I make a comment?
Yeah.
It's pretty unfair to say how many people are signed up when we didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just an unfair,
And to the prosecutor's point, the other thing that, because this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it says there's a 5-year holding on it.
No, that was a misreading when I talked to Don about that. What it means is that if you went into the Roth post, if you contributed as a post tax instead of a pre-tax, then the post tax, if you're 59 and a half, you have to have the account for 5 years. Not work here, but have the account for 5 years before you can go, because it's a post-tax account.
So you could, someone could open the account and say they only have like they have 3 years left, they could contribute. But they'll just have to maintain the account for another 2 years before they can pull, is that what I'm
Yeah,
understanding?
yeah, so they can get it tax-free.
Gotcha.
Because the whole point of the 457 is to be able to pull the money tax-free. And there's an option for pre-tax or post-tax. If they do post-tax, then they don't have to worry about any tax implications, not what they put in there or the growth that it has on the account. They don't pay taxes on when they pull it out. So that's MERS's rule, that they have to have that count for 5 years, and then they can start pulling it with no tax.
Madam Chair,
I wasn't quite done with my comment, but I would just encourage the board to allow that for employees hired before the 2019 date. That's what the MERS lady said was available, but I guess that's been some confusion.
Yeah, so this was created when we switched and closed the defined benefit and opened up the defined contribution plan. So that is why that date was put on there of the 1/1/2019. But it also only says non-union, which I would say if we're going to make an addendum change and allow all, it should say non-union and union, because we do have union individuals as well that are in the defined contribution plan, and they should have that same option to go with it. So if we are going to do an addendum change, I would suggest we change it to be all, not just non-union or union, and you don't have a date on it. Otherwise, we have to keep what we currently have, and that means only non-union get it after a higher date of 1/1/2019.
Can we pull that information so we have it to look at?
could we funnel this, or should we funnel this through the FPS?
That's what I'm just saying.
And
You
we can
get-
kind of look at the numbers and kind of see what
Yeah.
information we would want to bring, or what makes sense to bring to the board to look at.
Right, and actually get the wording of MERS
Yeah.
review.
The only reason I brought it up is because I had people who are pending. I'm going to pause on taking it until you guys fix the change the addendum or what, because I don't want them to contribute to it if they can't actually take part of it. So that has to be updated.
Yeah, so let's refer to the FPS. Anything else? Restitution?
Nope, all set.
Okay. Standing committees. Rob?
The landfill, the yardage and tonnage is the same, the well is, lagoons are, levels are good, but they had a issue with the groundwater testing for one segment that is nothing to be alarmed about, but it's above what it should be, and they're coming up with a plan to rectify that by July. Sometime July is the deadline. They have to come up with a plan to rectify the solution, but it's mainly groundwater runoff that was causing the issues. Spill or anything like that is just normal thing that can happen when there's excess water runoff from, like, it's mainly coming from a big hill that's causing the issue. But the plan should be in place by early July to rectify the problem and correct it.
They haven't had it obviously before then.
No, that's just a new thing that they just have a regular testing regimen that they noticed. A little higher than it should be.
That's it?
Yeah.
Michelle?
I attended the landfill meeting also, and just to expand on it, even though there was a reading, there are wells farther down, they monitor the flow of groundwater, and it's safe on the perimeter, like if there's not an issue that there's anything moving anywhere up there. So I just wanted to clarify that. I attended the NEMCOG meeting. DNR gave a presentation on the ice storm damage, which I thought was really interesting. So I just wanted to fire off a few statistics really quickly that they gave. They said 2,100 miles of motorized and 1,200 miles of non-motorized trails were impacted by the storm. About 25% of the state forest was impacted, which is about 920,000 acres. 200 DNR staff were involved in the storm response. They helped with wellness checks, delivering food and medicine and other things. They are currently actively clearing trails. They're starting in the northwest and working towards the central and then east. Their primary focus right now is preparing to open state parks. So there's a lot of work that needs to go into getting that ready for people who already have reservations planned to go to the parks. They're trying to get the message out there that the campgrounds are gonna look a lot different and they want to curb expectations of people. So for example, if you had a favorite campsite that, you know, you had trees and it was shaded, you may not have canopies or you may not have trees there anymore. So they're really trying to spread the word, and they're being, you know, trying to work with people too, if people get upset and, you know, taking complaints or, you know, working through that with people who are not aware. And they wanted people to know that the trails will look a lot different too. So they're going through and trying to do the best job they can right now with the resources they have. I did attend the FPS meeting as well. And then I also attended part of the after action review meeting, which I just wanted to state that I thought that was really well facilitated for the portion that I was there. I felt like the Oakland County team was doing a good job of walking through what happened and drawing out things that went well and drawing out areas we can improve. And then I just wanted to mention one thing, because there are members of the public that have expressed concerns before about how the response went and how are those people with special needs checked on. And that was brought up as something to try to figure out going forward is, you know, like if you don't have power for a long time and you have medicine that needs to be refrigerated or things like that, and how are those people checked on? And there was discussion about trying to get an idea of who those people are in the community in the future so that they can be assisted. And so I just wanted to mention that that did come up in that meeting, and we'll see how the recap comes up. But it was, I thought the short bit I was there was really good, and I know you guys attended as
Did you
well.
leave before Thunder Bay gave their report by chance?
I got to hear Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're working on that component, and they sent.
Oh, maybe
their-
they said more after I left. I know they talked a bit.
Yeah, because they had sent, they've tried to define how they're going to do that forward. Did
Okay.
everybody get a copy of that after action plan by chance that Amy sent us?
I sent it to the Oakland IMT because they were going to include it with
Oh,
the whole
Oh,
thing.
gotcha.
Okay.
So I haven't sent it to everybody else
I
yet.
thought it was really good. So thanks for doing that.
No, that was very good.
That's all.
Okay. And I had the health department this Tuesday. The Hedgehog portal is up, which is an excellent portal because it's a public disclosure portal. So the public can go in and see what, like if they have a favorite restaurant or anything like that. There's other things that it records too. I think swimming pools and campgrounds, you can click on it and you can see what the inspections are and what the inspections have come out with the, and you know, what the result of those inspections were. And again, so if you go to the dhd4.org website, there's a hedgehog spot that you can click, and it just walks you through finding those different accesses to those inspection reports. Food establishments, it'll be a good resource for the community. The Hillman Heartbeat Wellness Clinic, which is at the Hillman School, is fully staffed at this point and functioning. So that, too bad it's at the end of the year, but so far it looks like it's been well received, and so they've been fully staffed for about a month now, I think is what they told us. We went through and did some updates to policies. Money that had been pulled initially, looks like it might come back to us, at least 77,000 might be coming back through an value added program. So that was good. There. We had a thank you from Presque Isle County Emergency Manager and Homeland Security, Sarah Melching, thanking April for the website for the county that she said she's copying and pasting because she's going to use it as a template going forward because it was a one-stop shop. Also, I'm going to add my chair reflections on comments that were made in the last meeting by Commissioner LaRose, and it's just updating from a different perspective. The one item was regarding information, providing that the board have everything the Friday prior to a meeting for county policy. The county policy also states that any commissioner, department head, elected official, or the chairperson of any public board, authority, or commission desiring to place a matter on the agenda shall provide that by 3 p.m. on Monday, the week prior to that meeting. The original meeting to discuss policies took place on 2/27. It was a 100-page policy book with notes from the treasurer and other members in attendance. And it was not sent to the controller until 2/25/25. The topic was tabled for future discussion. We did have a special meeting to discuss that, set for 3/20. This was confirmed when the clerk agreed to that time and date on 3/3. 3/13 board meeting added additional items for discussion at the 20th meeting as well. That was our meeting. There was only a 7-day turnaround at that point, and of course, we have a that was at our meeting, so we all were aware that we were giving a very short timeline in that case. And we are still in the process of the policy changes. The policy changes highlighted on 3/20 were highlighted just to identify them as being different. And the restructuring of the policy book was completed just to accommodate the notes from the variety of elected officials at that point. And they also had an independent group that met a second time to review the revised policy. One of the plans to address this would be the policy book update has not been completed. You see on the controller's report that is still on the docket to bring up. We've had lots of issues with the ice storm that have prevented a lot of items from coming up on a timely basis, and will be on the agenda in the future as previously stated. And we're just reminding all the commissioners that we need to give April a heads up, asking her for things a day or two prior to our meetings is a little bit overwhelming. She has her own job duties to do, as well as to come up and accommodate us. So just remember that. Fulfill those. Some of those were not met during the ice storm incidents, just because there were other things that took precedence, and that's how that is going, just happening to fall. The information on retiree healthcare that was brought up, it has been a topic here since 2022 by the previous board. The resolution that initially was approved in April of 2024 to set up the healthcare savings plan was provided in the board binders that you guys had received. So again, a lot of that information was in the binders, and there was a link on the website with all the documentation. And if we have the laptops, those of us that have laptops, that is on our laptop as well. The information included notes and figures on what the BOC approved and funding set aside to cover those costs. The addendum needed to be completed by the BOC on 3/27 was specifying contributions at that point. A completed addendum, of course, can't be presented to us when we're still in the process of discussing those contributions. The policy meeting, of course, that night went long. It was at 9 o'clock that we closed. And so the time, again, was a short 7-day turnaround before that special meeting in fact took place. Possible solution, and this is something to think about as board members. The board can decide to table agenda items. Commissioners can call the chair or controller prior to meetings for last minute information clarification. But again, that information needs to be something that you're going to be able to absorb in a short, period of time, and to be able to have turnaround on it. If information to complete board packets is not available, but we've thought about this, if information to complete the board packets is not available to the controller prior to the Friday distribution, she's welcome to call me, and the item can be tabled or reviewed as discussion per board discretion. Many of the counties around us, they have what they call a committee of the whole. So we have 2 meetings now, and they are action meetings. We take motions, we deliberate business. Other counties will have a committee at the whole, where one of those meetings is more discussion type, like similar to what we had with the EM discussion a few minutes ago. And then the second, or however they decide to designate it, and then the other meeting would be the action meeting. So you would have time to review, you could come up with questions, and then the second or the next meeting would be the action item. So that's something for us to look at. Again, we're still in the process of coming up with those policies. So that can all be discussed at that time as well, because that can be part of our change, which will also, well, I have that one coming up. Requests, and then the MERS presentation, the controller's report of 227 did in fact include information regarding the MERS representative. Leah was going to be on site on 325, and that Tony was, would come as well to talk to the board regarding plans, as well as providing a better understanding of the program. So we did have that information that Tony did plan on attend. Structuring of board agendas. All items on an agenda may or may not lead to a board action. The exception is for specific requests for approval, such as repair funding and appointment to board committees or audits. Therefore, Montmorency has historically listed items in a form that permits broad discussions on items that may or may not result in board action. If an item is on the agenda, but adequate information was not available, the item can be tabled or postponed. It's pretty similar, like the health department agenda is pretty similar to ours, very broad, so that if topics come up, there can be discussion on more than a specific item. Possible plan and solutions. Again, the policy book is still open for review, and we can revisit that agenda format while reviewing of policies is taking place. And again, that's another place we can look at if we want to divide how our meetings are organized at this point, and looking at the committee of the whole. So, and I talked to some other chairs, and it's a good process, and it's something that we have not done historically, but maybe it would be beneficial. So, you know, talk to your fellow commissioners from other, you know, look it up and see what you think about that. Agenda items requests, all items are added to the agenda unless they don't meet the deadline for submission, lacking information, or are of an internal matter that can be satisfactorily handled during regular business hours. And the chair reviews and gives final approval of the agendas. The step wage increase mentioned was discussed with Judge Green, and a joint decision was made not to address it at that current agenda because there needed to be further discussion, and it was added to the next. Retiree health contracts that had come up, those were discussed in depth in 2024, and we received a formal legal opinion from the county attorney by the board to clarify the legality of having those contracts with elected or appointed officials. The legal opinion was received in May of 2024 and distributed to all of those involved. And the county was instructed that legally they can't have a contract with elected or appointed officials, and that any such contract is unenforceable. This item was not added to the agenda because it's already been handled in 2024. So if someone has an issue with it, they can go forward with that on their own. Inefficiencies regarding the credit card during the ice storm. The issue was not having one credit card as much as at the time it was in the treasurer's office, but the treasurer rectified that. She came and gave it to us so that we had it in case during the EOC we did need purchases. And in fact, we did make purchases on it, basically for shelter items that we needed to go to stores that we did not have an account set up. Office supplies, a request for supplies was sent to the controller's office on 5/5/25. The staff that normally handled those supplies were not physically present, but she had been monitoring her email. So she referred the questions that the clerk had to the staff that was working. She did use the word appointment because since she was remote, she didn't know if the other staff was at that moment in the office or not. The clerk did discuss it during the 5/5 finance meeting because it had just occurred. The controller explained the circumstances, and items were received after the meeting except one that needed to be ordered. Possible solutions: direct verbal communication between commissioners and the controller will resolve many misunderstandings and provide perspective into situations that occur. I asked all commissioners to review the controller's job description that is available to see the scope of her duties and practice and what she is overseeing in the county. I support the controller in her job performance. She is, in fact, Montmorency's Department of Governmental Efficiency. She is running those budgets. She is watching what's being spent, and if there's things that we can do to improve upon it. And in my opinion, the controller's office is a great asset to the Montmorency County residents just through her monitoring and financing. And this is reflected in multiple ways. Then 3 that I named were because we've had good financial audits. Hopefully our next audit will be on in June. We've had closed correction action plans. And we had contingency funds that were there and available that we utilized during this, and we are still actually utilizing during this ice storm, and that spared any funds having to come from the general fund, for just a few examples. And that is what I would like to end my report with. Lloyd?
I have nothing. The next meeting I have is at 2:30 today.
And I have nothing.
I take a motion to adjourn.
Public comment.
Oh, public comment, sorry.
Mary?
I have one brief thing to say about the, what you just stated.
I can do 5 more minutes.
Conversations, sorry.
One brief thing to comment about your recent report there, that saying that we shouldn't be giving April last minute things to do, which I agree with. And I believe that we have Don Hubbard is the board secretary. A lot more should be brought to her and not involving April.
And that could be a discussion.
No, she's not the board secretary. She's technically my assistant. So it comes through all of us.
Her job description was board secretary.
Nope.
When
I
did
got
that
changed
change?
in October of 2022.
Right, so
Public comment.
I'd like to make a comment. Just so you all know that you elected to take a vehicle out of the sheriff's fleet that is not rotted out for mileage, and opposed to maybe inspecting others to say that these would be better ones to take out rather than a non-rotted vehicle. And also my disheartened feeling about saving taxpayer money. I have no credit card to order parts on the internet with, which I have proven time and time again to save thousands of dollars in a year time by buying parts of same quality on the internet as opposed to going downtown and buying them locally. Currently, a set of brake pads for a 2020 plus car is about $425 for just the front brakes. High item use that we use. The savings by using a credit card is just immensely, and to add a step for me to go somewhere else, turn over my passwords to them so they can order them for me, doesn't work for me. And that's all I've got.
I have a copy of what I have to say for each board member. And may I begin?
Yes, absolutely.
Hello, I'm in a very good mood. I'm not mad at anybody.
Can I have your name, please?
Dale R. Suter.
Thank you, Dale.
You're welcome. I'd like to be, and I've got a pretty extensive background in Homeland Security. Well, it's dated now. I'm retired, and I like being retired. I've instructed incident command under the National Incident Management System on the federal and state level through the 400 level. I've been a responder in natural disasters, and I've got some background in this. I'm not an expert. Experts scare me. But I've been in typhoons, in the Orient, earthquakes, blizzards, never been in a tornado, and I can, in my days, without experiencing that. But I have a request of the board. My name is Dale R. Suter. I live in Avery Township. Who did I speak to on the phone? Thank you. Information has been available that brush collection sites in Montmorency County are scheduled to close early June 2025. I'm asking the Board of Commissioners to extend the closure date until September 25, and I have a reason for that. The ice storm was and remains a disaster, and I don't think we use that word disaster often enough. I spoke to Don Edwards about this, and we both agreed that this wasn't a storm. It's a disaster. Hundreds of thousands of forested acres were damaged. When I wrote that sentence, I wanted to ask if any of you, and I'm serious with this question, if any of you ever walked through a bombed out forest? And so I'm gonna ask you to accept my word.
Recently.
Recently.
No, I have. I have done it many times.
My husband mentioned that. He's been to war and he
Yeah.
mentioned the same thing.
That's what it's like in our county right now. And I've been through triple canopy tropical rainforests that have been heavily bombed, and that's what we look like. So this is a disaster. Debris is still common along county roads and on citizens' property. Public debris collection sites is an excellent response to mitigating the effects of our recent ice storm. That's well done. Very, very good move. Now, as you may be aware, stages of disaster recovery include preparedness, which is ongoing. Then we have a disaster response is days, weeks. Recovery or rebuilding can be months or years. When I studied the Katrina disaster along our Gulf Coast years ago with FEMA and the Center for Domestic Preparedness down in Anniston, Alabama, a response office in New Orleans was open for 5 years after the hurricane. So it's not uncommon for this to go on for some time. Our county has been in the response stage for weeks and has now, in my opinion, progressed into the recovery and rebuilding phase. And I offered the references for my making that. WCMU in April 2025 noted hundreds of thousands of acres. That is nothing but sticks in our area of the state. I understand how long to be a reasonable question to my request to extend the time debris collection sites remain open. Access to disaster response estimation data is not available to me. I can't answer that question. Please allow more time to recover from our recent disaster. I believe we citizens of Montmorency County are in the recovery phase of disaster response for months into the future. Thank you. And as a personal note, having been in the emergency response business professionally for quite a few years, this county did a good job. It used to be federal doctrine. I don't know what it is currently. In the first 72 hours of any disaster, citizens are on their own. It takes 72 hours, as you probably well know now, to get things moving. And we weren't denied police, fire, and emergency medicine. I came in here, I had a question, and the ELC was quiet, well organized, and functioning. We had access to police, fire, and emergency medical. And I think the county needs a pat on the back for that. And yes, ma'am.
I just have a question for you, because we do have some townships that are running their own debris site, and I don't know what their deadline is.
I don't know either, ma'am.
Yeah, but I was just wondering, in your experience, because townships can provide those benefits as well. I'm just wondering, if the townships, like I said, I know 3 townships that are still running their debris sites, and I don't know that they've had a shutdown date. I'm just wondering if there's anything in your experience where townships have done those kind of things themselves. I mean, I know this is unprecedented, but.
Oh, yes, it's very common for example, churches and township governments do things without coordinating them with higher levels of government. Atlanta Bible Church did at least 3 food distributions, and they did it through word of mouth and Facebook, and they just helped a whole lot of people. I found in disasters, I'm sure the sheriff will agree with me, good people step up. Good people step up and do what's right by each other. So I wish you every good fortune on selecting an emergency manager. If I could make a comment, if you would look up Center for Domestic Preparedness in Anniston, Alabama, that's their training is just absolutely above par. It's an excellent federal resource, and they pay airfare, lodging, everything. The only cost the county would have is the individual's wages while they were down there. They teach incident command through the 400 level. Now, they teach terrorism and disaster response. But there's a lot of good federal resources out there for training. I've done incident command 300 and 400 level years ago up here. You got a lot of good responders in this part of the state, all over the country. I won't take any more of your time. Yes, sir.
What site is that training held at?
Anniston, Alabama.
That's the city.
Oh, yeah, that's the location. The Center for Domestic Preparedness. It's a FEMA organization, CDP.
Okay. Do they have their own property?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think it's old Fort McCoy.
Fort McCoy, Wisconsin?
No, I'm
Fort
sorry.
McClellan.
I misspoke. It's in Anniston, Alabama. It's a former MP post.
Fort McClellan.
Fort McClellan, you're correct.
Served there many years.
I've been there many times, but not on active duty. I've been to Fort McCoy. That's probably why that popped up. Got a big artillery range.
Yeah.
I see you took that information down.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm in the book. If you need any information on it, please call me.
All right, thank you.
Were you in the military?
Yes, sir.
They do live nerve agent and anthrax
Yep.
agent training there. It's
Yeah,
pretty high
there's a big
speed.
good area out there.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Public comment, I see you're standing.
You okay?
Yeah.
I just want to agree with him on the debris thing, because that's one of my issues. Took a ride down my favorite hunting 2-track, somebody had cut it out. There's 3 fields back there. And they're all dumping in there. And it's where we used to go sit and look for deer and watch the creatures, and now it looks like the field looks like worse than the woods. So, these debris fields need to be kept open. But we also need to discourage this dumping into the open oil well fields, these open fields that the DNR have created for our wildlife, where 1965, we came up here as little kids with our dads, and now we're grandparents and we want to take it, and it's just turning into an ugly scene out there. I don't know to report it to who do you report to? How do you get it to stop? But if we're going to post on all the welcome pages and in the paper that these sites are open, post along with it to stop dumping in the fields created for our creatures that are out there. The other thing I wanted to ask about, which I came up on totally by incident, and I don't know if it's like the Board of Commissioners or our treasurer, a House Bill number, I think this is the one, 4328, was put up by Parker Fairburn, and over on the west side, some representative in our House, for a bill to be passed, $100,000 or more, for the 11 counties involved in this disaster. And, is someone looking into that? Because we are one of the worst in that 11 counties. And how do we get that money? The bill has already been passed. It was voted on to give these counties this money. And we are one of those counties. So I wondered if we had any information on that. It was bill number 4328. I'm still learning a lot of this, and somehow it popped up on something I was Googling, and I saw it and I thought, well, bring it up, ask, because all kinds of things are happening and we all don't know everything that's going on.
It passed the Senate too.
I believe it did.
I thought it was still the final approval, or I think I saw something on Facebook last night that they might have just passed it through the Senate, so that's why we haven't gotten a final on it. But
Okay,
I knew it came during the storm, it went through the House, and we were waiting for it, the final approval.
so
I can
we're
double check.
aware of it.
Yeah.
and- Okay, hey, good job. April.
It's an appropriations right now.
Okay.
Where's it at? Andrew?
Appropriations.
Commissioner Hanson needs to leave in.
Chad Brown. I guess frustrated would be the remarkable understatement. Number 2, Second, at least off the top of my head, Commissioner Peltier, I remember a while ago you creating this, you were alleging that officers were, I don't know, misusing a car wash at one point in time and trying to bring that up. And now today it's addressing the county mechanic with the issue he has with the undersheriff that he himself says 100% was not the case. It is always personal, is the only way I can explain it. And I don't understand why. We were talking about resources that the office of sheriff has, not asking, it's not a purchase. It's not a budgetary item. It's a resource. It's a computer. It's a chair. You don't go into any other office and say, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, because you don't need it. That's my job. You said the department heads run their office. We need to not micromanage them. Yet you sit up here and do that every single meeting. Every single meeting, whether it's my office or another. And I'm sorry, I heard somebody talk about disrespect. The micromanaging, I take as disrespect. That's how I do it. I try not to tell anybody how to do their job because I assume they're good at it. I don't tell Bernie how to do his job. I ask him what the best solution is. How are we going to get to the goal we want to achieve? That's why he's so successful. Because he cares, because he consistently saves this county thousands of dollars. Over $5,000 you saved by him making a good decision on a vehicle. Yet you're not going to listen to him and you're not going to listen to me with 20, 17 years, 35 years of mechanical experience. If this isn't personal, I don't know what is, Mr. Peltier. I really, truly don't. And it needs to stop because that's where our issues come in. Instead of just letting these offices run and do what's right for the citizens of this county, that's what needs to start happening. And none of this would be an issue. I'm not going to keep things I don't need. I don't want it. But you're telling me to get rid of something and I'm not replacing a resource. It makes zero sense. It doesn't work. So I'm not going to get rid of an asset until another one is coming in because it makes no sense. It doesn't serve my community appropriately because I understand that stuff is going to happen outside of my control and I have to prepare for that. And the thing you're telling me to get rid of, paid for, doesn't cost this county anything but $500. If that's the issue, if $500 in insurance payments is the issue, do the budget adjustment on my gas and we're done. Now let's talk about vehicles because serving our people is what we're supposed to be doing and that's not what we're doing.
That's right. Public comment? Oh, go ahead.
Doug Morrison from Hillman. First, I want to say last meeting that you guys had, I want to thank Cheryl for her report. I didn't realize how busy her office was. And she did a great job of explaining to me what her office did. Pretty busy office. The second thing I want to talk about is Bernie as the mechanic. We're very thankful to have somebody that has that kind of technology that can take care of the cars. And then he took care of the car that the tree fell on and fixed things. And he proved to you that just one item breaks what he could save. I know I was talking to Bernie one time and he was telling me about ordering maybe a couple extra brakes so he has it on his shelf, get a better price, better deal. You know, now you say that the sheriff can't he can't work underneath the sheriff's department. He's going to work under you guys. And Lloyd said that, you know, he's got one boss. Well, I guess my question is which one of you five is his boss? Or are you micromanaging it between you five and then you make your decision and then I guess, so he don't know who his boss is day by day by day. I remember taking over my dad's business at the grocery store and I was the boss, but my dad was the boss. And my employees, my dad would tell them something to do and I would tell them the opposite to do. And they stood there going, what do I do? And I told them, I said, who writes the paycheck? Well, I wrote the paycheck, even though my dad was there for all these years to do a lot of things about it. But I was the guy that wrote a paycheck, so I was the boss. That kind of helped me separate my dad and me. My dad and I butted heads over it for a long, long time. But my dad realized that somebody has to be the boss. And so I got to be the boss. And then the other thing I want to mention, it seems like every time we come in here and we talk to the sheriff, wanting the sheriff to do his job, I voted for him to do his job, but it's always a 3-2 vote. It's been a 3-2 vote every time with the sheriff's department. What a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame that you don't let Chad do his job.
Yes.
If Chad fails doing his job, I could see a 4-1 vote. But not allowing Chad to do his job and do a 3-2 vote, shame on you guys, because Chad needs to do his job. You have to let him have Bernie and him to partner up. I don't think it works of the sheriff wanting the car fixed, because that's what he does. He does all the county vehicles. It isn't like he's changing your oil or putting your, your tailpipe on. He isn't doing you guys' work. He's doing the county work for the county cars. It's just like that pickup truck that they talked about that the bottom is rusted out. It still can pull a boat to Lake Avalon, Long Lake, Twin Lake. It does its purpose. It serves its purpose. Let it sit there. So what? The floorboard's no good on the passenger side. Normally, there's only one guy going to do that boat control anyways. So for you to pick the vehicles that need to go and not go, I think that's up to Chad to tell you guys what vehicle needs to go and not go. And maybe this isn't the time to take the 2 vehicles out. Chad would know that. That's why I voted for Chad.
Right.
So please look at this. Please change your ideas of Montmorency County Sheriff's Department. Because I'm so sick and tired of coming to these meetings, and I've been coming to them for a 1.5 years. I'm tired of seeing a 3-2 vote when it comes to the Sheriff's Department. Thanks for your time.
Public comment?
I don't need to come. I just want to say, since I was commissioner, the county logo has changed and I like the new logo. So whoever did that gets some credit. Okay. And the other thing, I was on the website and the county website is much improved. The information that's out there. However, when it lists the commissioner, it lists your home city, Atlanta. 3 of you are listed for Atlanta. It says the district numbers, but there's no map. I Googled for the map for the district, for the commissioner's district for Montmorency County. There's no map out there. So I can't tell what district I'm in. I know because I was District 2. But as far as District 3, District 5, there's no place on the county for a citizen to go out there and say, who's my commissioner? Because there's no map. There's no connection. So
There's
that,
one on equalization, but I can move it to that page too.
well, yeah, but I wouldn't look for equalization. Why would I look for Board of Commissioners under equalization?
Well, I mean, the district maps, all the maps in the county are on equalizations.
Okay, but I go to the Board of Commissioners and I Googled that Board of Commissioners map and it came, artificial intelligence came back and said, sorry, there isn't one. So that's just a comment. I like the website. It's much improved. But I was looking for districts and I couldn't find.
Thank you. Ma'am?
My name is Chris Mo-Gerlich, and I'm in Briley Township here in Atlanta. I am the young lady that Sheriff Brown pointed out, helping with a pretty major search a week ago for 2 missing female hunters on my canine handler. I'm also ICS certified in 300 and 400, the 2 educational certifications that you should be looking for your emergency manager to be. I also went and spoke with April back in November and December, concerned about the emergency management position and was inquiring about taking on that role. And she said it was all in discussion of what was going to be happening. And so I've been following that. At this point, I do not want that position. And it's mainly because this hostility and the micromanaging that's happening within this board, I don't want to get in the middle of that. And I could do this county a lot of good. And I was really passionate about it. And now I'm not going to do this. And I hope you have some good candidates, and I hope that you don't micromanage what that emergency manager position is. The second point is I was under the understanding that we as taxpayers, when we vote for a millage, a sheriff's millage, that it was for the cars. Is that correct?
No, it's
Covers
broad
everything.
language, maintenance, supplies. It doesn't specifically say patrol cars. It just, you have supposed to pay for 4 deputies plus a hunt person and then service clerk and
Okay,
supplies. So
so that's not the road cars? It has nothing to do with the road
we
cars?
can use millage money for it because we list
Okay.
supplies and equipment, but it's not specifically laid out that it's for purchasing patrol cars. So.
Okay,
Generally up to the sheriff to use it as he feels necessary within the
okay.
prescribed amount.
All right, and so the sheriff has already presented a very good case of keeping these road cars in use until such time that they can be replaced. And he's looking for the future of hiring more deputies. We need to maintain a safe county, and the best way to keep a safe county is through the sheriff's department. And I agree with this last gentleman's comment, well, everybody's comment about the decisive differences between the Board of Commissioners and the Sheriff's Department. And I just hope and pray that this changes and changes pretty quickly, and that your loved ones are not going to be sitting in a position that are going to be sacrificed because we can't get a deputy to that call out or to that situation.
Public comment?
Marson from Lewiston.
Yeah, what is that?
Right. I'm also here to request that you extend or at least give us a plan B on how to get rid of all the brush and the down trees that we have. We've got summer people who are non-homesteaded, so they're taxed more, and now this is going to be closed down and they won't be able to clean up their properties. There's people and there's families that are working, and we're doing our best to clean things up and getting things straight. A lot of us don't have thousands of dollars to have these people come in and do this work and take care of it for us. We have to do it with our own backs, which I wrecked the first day I was able to get out of the house. And I'm concerned that if we don't have a plan B, other than the existing sites, there's going to be fires. There's going to be a lot of fires in people's yards. There's going to be a lot of fires. And then with the drought, and it's been okay so far this year, but we're going to have wildfires. Then you balance that with fire department versus having a place to distribute, to get rid of this debris in a safe place. So our local tree providers in Lewiston, as far as services, they're just starting to finish emergencies. They haven't even started on us who are waiting to have regular, just maintenance on the trees that aren't going to fall on a house, but it has to be taken care of. And another thing is with oak wilt, which if we start cutting those down now in this panic to get them to the stations, that will spread more oak wilt for any oaks that have been cut at this time. You do not cut oaks from mid-April to mid-July to prevent the spread of oak wilt. So I beg you to either keep the stations open or find an alternative for us. Our woods depend on it. Our lives and our fun and our lives are dependent on being able to get through this disaster with the help of the community and with our tax-paying money to help pay for this, to make the best out of our Montmorency County, which is a forest area, and we got hit hard, and I know Lewiston was the epicenter. And it's very sad to see. We've seen some improvements, but we're still way behind June 1st. I hope they take this into consideration. Thank you very much.
Public comment? I do want to touch base on hers. If you do have somebody that still needs help in cleaning properties, 211 is still functioning. And one of the emails I just saw is we actually have some other groups, some Christian groups that were looking to help people with cleaning out. So if you call 211, put yourself on the list, they can get people to come
Okay, so
and help
just
clean up.
dial that on the phone,
Yep.
211.
Yep, and get
Okay,
yourself
'cause
on
I
the
know a
critical
lot of
response.
old people that
Yep.
can't get out there and do that stuff
Yep,
anymore.
there are voluntary groups that are
Okay.
contracting with 211 to get to the people that need help.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mine's just more of a question, honestly. I had a resident ask me if they attend Zoom because we had opened it up for public comment from a previous attendee on Zoom. If they were only able to attend Zoom and they wanted to do a public comment, would they raise their hand? Do we open that up? I know at the township, we had every meeting on Zoom, and Supervisor Werner would always say, is there any public comment from those on Zoom? So someone just asked me and I said, well, I'll be at the meeting, I'll ask them. So might be an option, or, because I see how many people are on there right now. There's 20, sometimes there's 60, and that might be their only way to get to a meeting is by Zoom. I don't think that we should restrict their public comment if they haven't. I don't know if there's a procedure in place, or maybe that's something we can look at with the policy book, but I told them I'd bring it.
And your name was?
Lindsay Rogers.
Public comment?
Mary Dugas here. I'll make the comment on, I don't know, 3, maybe April 2, I don't know. If your goal is to eliminate Bernie's job, the mechanics, I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, but I had the opportunity about a week ago to invite Bernie to my house to look at my old truck, which was stalling out, usually in the middle of an intersection, and try to tell me what was wrong with it. And within 10-15 minutes of looking at my truck, I've been told by several people that it's a carburetor adjustment, it needs carburetor adjustments. It's running too rich. Within 10-15 minutes of looking at it, he found a gas leak. He found it wasn't the carburetor, it was the points. He had that vehicle under total scrutiny within 10-15 minutes. I don't know why you people would want to not use him. He is such a value to this county. I'm sure he could go other places and make fortunes, but he chooses to stay here and work for us. Please let him do his job.
Bernie's job hasn't changed. He still is the mechanic. We haven't adjusted that.
Well, when you
Any
ask him-
other?
when you tell him he's not able to put a car on the hoist without your permission, that's not allowing him to do his job.
Public comment? Hearing none, I take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll support. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no.